like a starfish or something and put an Astalor into this.
They can hear us, by the way. Hello, chat.
Okay.
So, man, I started God of War 2018 because it was on sale.
It's a good game.
And man, that first Loki fight is something.
Baldur, you mean?
Oh, it's not Loki? I assumed it was
No.
Loki because he uses
The
ice
stranger.
stuff and
The
says
stranger
my
fight.
brother. And
Yeah, no, he's not Loki. I'm only saying
okay.
that because it's for reasons. But I just linked where if you have any feedback, but I'm that's not going to be what's actual live because I have to do horrible things to get that into Squarespace. But
it is quite challenging on the hardest difficulty level.
Well, yes, I would imagine because it's.
Oh, you're doing.
I died a
you're
lot
doing
on,
Give
like,
Me God of
normal.
War. That's
I am.
Yeah, I'm unsurprised, but also you don't need to do that.
I know.
I mean, she doesn't need to do that. She wants to do that.
Do you?
Admittedly, it feels amazing, but
It's a great game.
But I do wish it was a little bit less of the everything's super tanky. I prefer lethality both ways.
That's why I don't play in the highest difficulty level because it's often just spongy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
But I think it varies, right? Like Ghost of Tsushima is not like that at all for the highest difficulty. It's just lethality both ways.
Yeah, they just add a whole bunch of HP and attack damage to them and call it a day.
So I don't know, but at this, I guess I could restart one lower.
I mean, you don't have to restart, do you? Don't you just change the difficulty?
No, if you pick the hardest.
GAW, yeah, it locks you in.
Oh yeah.
What's up?
Oh.
So I'll probably stick with it because I'm stubborn, but yeah, I have to parry out of my mind. And parrying is easier than in Dark Souls, so.
If I can get the parrying to work, you can.
Oh yeah.
Like. Yeah. Like I finally learned to embrace the parrying.
And it has like 100% block too. So like even if you don't parry, you still block.
Yeah, in that game, I guess. I don't remember if they had the red, yellow, blue attacks in God of War 2018.
I don't think so. In Ragnarok, there are definitely are definitely unblockable attacks, but
yeah, you can't. Yeah. There's a lot more like Tsushima, like red are unblockable, yellow are you have to parry them.
Gotcha. That sounds fun.
Okay. Here it is.
I want to buy Midnight Suns.
Oh man,
but then I have to
Donkey did it. He did
He
did the name for concoctions is the middle syllable.
Oh God.
Darn it. That's.
Someone in Discord abbreviated it COC. I'm like, can we not make that the abbreviation, please?
No, we're gonna do mix. We're gonna do
not
mix.
do that. Like I can't take a year and 3 months of that. Like it's bad enough when people like misabbreviated consecration.
Okay, let me. 38 games on 25 decks today.
That sounds about right.
I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a lot to be streaming for that long and then, turn around and then record a podcast.
2 podcasts.
2 podcasts. Or are you doing Vicious Syndicate tonight or?
No, I did Angry Chicken already. This is my second podcast today.
Oh, okay.
You didn't react, so that means that something has gone horribly wrong in my life, that this has become normalized.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, like, do you want me to be surprised that you're recording two podcasts today? Because I'm not going to be.
No.
I mean, if you want me to go get my intervention banner, I can, but I don't think you would do anything. As long as you get some rest.
You know what I'm going to do after the show? I'm going to lay on
Go
the
record
couch.
another podcast.
No. I'm going to lay in the couch.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Do not stay up until midnight to play Midnight Suns. Do
No.
not do it.
Wait. Isn't that like almost $100? Or
No,
$70?
it's no. You can get it on Fanatical for like 50. That's probably what I'm gonna do.
And full price games are.
Well, I mean, it's 15% off. Plus, I have another 5% off coupon.
I'm not
And then I
going
won't
to
play it till Sunday.
buy
This
more
is why
games right
I
now.
play everything 3 to 5 years after they come out.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy more games right now. I feel pretty confident that my gaming time is spoken for over the next little while.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't, especially because I can't play it. If I could play it this weekend, I probably would. But I'm not going to
Oh,
be.
I forgot to make a fireside. Shoot. Should do that after this.
Yeah.
You got time. All right. Should we do a show?
We could. Oh, I should open up Audacity. That's an idea. That's what we're doing. Imagine that. But at least I'm not only taking off Wednesday, I'm taking off like Monday through Wednesday. Because I realized after this weekend, like I need to be kind to myself and not try to power through that after the week that I've had. So, and actually use my sick time, not my sick time, but my earned time off. And like actually like take care of myself and not just work myself to death. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Nice.
I don't know what I'm going to do all day Tuesday because I'm not streaming till 7. And I don't open the packs until we stream. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do all day.
You could.
Maybe I should.
You could not do that. You
Well,
could
yeah,
open
but
the
then I'm
packs
going to be.
earlier.
Then I'm going to be like streaming at the same time that you are.
Well, you
which I
don't have
wanna
to
do.
stream. You could just.
No, I know, no, but people like the pack opening
Oh,
with
man,
Maureen because that's most of when Maureen hangs out for. So
That's fair.
you know, I'll probably just play more duels or something. Or maybe I end up buying Midnight Suns because I'm a weak person, and then just play the hell out of that until I open my packs. You know, Matt, don't. Dude, no. I mean, I was at work on Sunday this week, so I would rather not be at work this coming
Hey,
weekend.
same.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
that's a little bit more you know, run of the mill for you than it is for me. So
It is. Yeah. It's. Should we talk about the
Like,
game? I'm gonna record.
we
I'm gonna
should.
record, okay?
Let's talk about the game. Okay.
All
You
right.
want me to press a red button?
I would like that. Yes, preferably the round one, not an X. If it's an X, don't do that one. I want a different one.
Oh, the round one? That's what I'm supposed to be pressing all this time?
I have your local audio on the drive. Don't play with me.
uh...
Craptasm. Bob, I don't want to hear it. I'm just glad you're here. Miss you in the Discord.
We're just happy that Hat is still willing to talk about the game after everything today and not just like in like a fugue
After
state.
2 hours of already
Yeah.
doing said thing.
2, 7.
I'm sorry.
Like 7, yeah.
Well, okay, I wasn't including the streaming. I meant the
Just the podcasting.
part.
Oh, that was
The playing the game.
Joss put a hard limit on 60 minutes on the mini-sode after. She's like, no. 1 hour, go.
And then you had to
Yeah,
record the
that's
Tavern Brawl episode?
fair.
I hope you recognize where your face is on my monitor and how I'm slow head turning towards it. Because I was looking here. I hope you recognize. You're where my eyes are.
I'm just saying what we're all thinking, you know?
So, anyways, I'm recording. Are we all recording?
Okay. I'm recording.
All right.
Recording.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Starting the show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Nope. Restarting the soundboard. Things don't work. It's fine. It's okay.
Look, Adel, at least you know what you're in for.
I am listening.
Our paths converge.
So good to see you.
Hail to you! Never lose hope.
Here for a chat.
I hear you. It has only begun. Fight on, friend.
Hello and welcome to episode 372 of Coin Casita Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game and the theory crafting streams more accessible to you. It is Thursday, Theory Crafting Day, December 1st in the afternoon from Gadgetan, New York. It's me, I'm Ridiculous Hat from Nomergon, Ohio. We have Adelice.
Hello.
Hello. And from Northern Massachusetts, we have Wicked Good.
Hi.
Hi. From where you are, listener, we have you. Thank you so much for being here. And patrons, supporters, pretty okay. You are more than pretty okay. You're great. Thank you for your support of the show. And our newest producer, Kreb Mart. Kreb, thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate having you here. It's great having you in chat. You know, it's a good time. And everyone that left us a review, thank you so much for doing that. Life and Ladder. Who wants to go first?
I mean, yours is gonna be what, like the second half of the episode, so
Okay. So you
'cause
go
you had
first.
you had a lot to talk about, yeah. I mean, I actually have been playing a whole lot of duels this week, and because they put the change in, I guess we'll talk about it when we talk about the patch notes. But they put the change into the way that they're doing the buckets and duels, and I haven't really been feeling a whole lot of standard, you know, because like I just, you know, like I said last week, I was just like in this this personal nightmare of Thief Rogue and Ramp Druid. But I fired up duels and I found Agent Croak's Miracle Priest, and that is all I want to do right now. That will keep me going until the new set comes out. It's basically just it's using the hero power every time you play a spell, deal 1 damage to the opponent, and then it's just got Radiant Elementals and Shadow Word Void to make the little 0/1s that suck your opponent's health bar, and then just a whole bunch of cheap spells. And you usually get the like the passive of whenever you discover the first time you discover a card in a turn, reduce the cost of your spells by 1. So you just keep getting more spells and discounting them and doing more damage. And sometimes I've gotten Void Touch Attendants to make the pings do 2 or 3 or 4 damage a piece. And had a game today where we went back and forth trading Greybows until I eventually found a because they had a Greybow, and I must have like holy booked it, or so that's what I've been doing a fair amount. Is usually end up getting holy book and then just taking it, and then so I had one, or I got it from Identity Theft is the other way that I could have done, because that deck runs Identity Theft too. And then they had multiple Greybows and I had multiple Greybows, and I copied theirs and they copied mine, and eventually I just found a shard of the Naru and put an end to the nonsense. But I was a little bit worried that I was going to be in that game for about like 45 minutes with just like stupid Greybows hitting each other in the face. But I eventually got there. But that deck's been like so much fun. And sometimes, you know, you get a Lyra and then you get to do Radiant Elemental Lyra things. And I mean, it's been a little bit different with the way that the buckets are offering by expansion. I was a little worried it was going to be worse, but it turns out that because, you know, when the cards are released in packages, like those packages tend to correlate to expansion, so you generally get a few cards that are kind of thematically aligned a lot of the time, not always, but you know, like Lyra and Radiant Elemental were in the same set, so you just can get a bucket with Lyra and Radiant Elemental, and kind of go to town. So yeah, it's been a little bit different. Like sometimes the buckets are a little bit more variant, but there's no group learning, so you actually have 3 buckets to choose from, which is nice. And it's been a whole lot of fun. I did assemble Quel'Dalar in one of my runs too, and that was yeah, that was my 12 win warrior run. And I've only been playing casual because I don't want to be getting Nathria packs before the expansion, but yeah, I assembled Quel'Dalar, and then that carried me for a whole bunch of games. I kept forgetting that it was draw at start of game, so I kept looking down at my hand after like turn 2, like, oh, I have Quel'Dalar again. I wonder how that happened, and then I finally realized like 3 or 4 games in after getting it that, oh yeah, it does that, and like I shouldn't be all that surprised. But yeah, if you're kind of lost right now and you don't really want to spend a whole lot of time grinding a legend before the set drops, go into duels. Duels is a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, I really like how it has become this pre-release sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very duelsy vibe. Like Arena used to be this. You would just go into Arena and play with the new cards. But now it's definitely like Duels has the same, you know, it's just wacky and feels whatever, do what you want sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I want to play with the new cards.
There's a time and a place for everything, and it's called Duels.
Exactly. Edel, what about you?
So, I have been just all over the place. I feel like I've been a mess. I feel like I'm just waiting for so many things, one of which is to find out whether or not Rachel is pregnant. We don't know. It's kind of that part of the IVF process where it's like, well, maybe not. So we've yet to find out. And then, of course, waiting for the new cards and everything. I'm not so great at waiting. But
It's the hardest part.
Yeah. I finally buckled down and stopped being afraid of the editing for my other podcast, and so I've spent like 8 hours on that. I do a lot more fine-toothed editing on that one, and
Is that possible?
I thought, yeah, and I decided, okay, well, this time I'm not going to re-record different voices for the characters. I'm just going to use what I did on my previous take, reading through the story, and I'll just mess with the pitch. And 4 hours later,
I'll just mess with the pitch. Whenever you use the word "just," that's when you're
add a little reverb for the magic mirror. It's all right. So I should be done with that tomorrow, just in time to edit this show.
Awesome. Well,
as long as you're enjoying it, then that's fine.
I actually, this is always the thing. So I have what I describe as like fear of the blank page, right? I have a lot of trouble getting started, particularly when I know something's going to take a long time and is going to be overwhelming. But then once I'm in it, usually I can just kind of keep going. And yeah, it's just about kind of breaking through that initial barrier of getting started.
Yeah. I know how that feels because I've been working on this piece for the Off Curve blog on just theory crafting decks, and like I was struggling. That's why I do that on my stream, just to force myself to start, because then like once I had that, then it's like, okay, well, then I just needed to get it all into a document. Now then I just keep fiddling with it, and the fiddling is easy, but the starting there and getting the stuff to start fiddling with sometimes takes the longest.
yeah.
Oh, and speaking of theory crafting, I made 40 some decks. I forget how many
42.
were in
You
that
said
spreadsheet.
42.
42.
You've covered life, the universe, and everything
Wait,
be more
was
since
that
then.
before I was done?
before you were done. Oh, good lord! I did like 17, and I felt like I went overboard.
When are you done?
It was
When do you finish? When do you stop?
it was too many hours. I'm gonna be honest. That was probably another like 8 hours at least.
That's
that
your
was
line.
before you added That was before you added reverb to the decks.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you building decks because I played a lot of them. I played many.
I noticed.
Yes.
I was very
Uh,
moved. It was a good feeling.
Yes. It
Although I'm
was
sure you
also-
had to modify some to make
couple.
them meet the theory crafting requirements.
Though I found a cheat code. Because, so in particular, Spellfell Rel DH. There's not enough March of the Lich King non-minion class cards. There's exactly 9 non-minion class cards in Demon Hunter. But I figured out you add the Sunwell.
Yeah.
You add 1 neutral spell. They printed 1 neutral spell just so you can play Spell Relfell DH, I guess. I don't know.
Spellfell well rel DH.
Yes!
Or what rel well. Yeah.
Dr. Seuss DH. So, yes. So that was fun. I was able to tweak a couple of them. I had to remove good cards like Spammy Arcanist from your Druid. But yeah, I played, I think, at least one of your decks from every class. I did not get to all of your DK decks because there were 14 of those by themselves.
Yeah, a
didn't-
bunch of those didn't need to exist. I just made an effort to do one for every rune combination. And some rune combinations just shouldn't be done because it devolved into Denathrius pile anyway.
Yeah. I will also note, on Theory Crafting today, I faced 1 Denathrius all day, and I played none. And it didn't feel like people were necessarily holding themselves back. I mean, I'm sure some were. Games didn't necessarily make it to 10 a lot. It was...
Yeah.
That was my suspicion.
I guess the other thing that's worth keeping in mind though is that if you're, if you have to make room for 10 cards, Denathrius might be one that just makes a cut, right?
In a world without Renathal, you'd be right, but you just add 10 cards. It's... Renathal, like...
I mean,
the Theory
you
Crafting
wanna make
rule,
your
just
deck
by
five,
percentage of your deck, is less restrictive with Renathal. It is just a smaller portion of your deck has to be new. I didn't play a lot of Renathal decks. I played a few. But today, listener, I did Theory Crafting. I'm the only one of us that got invited this time, which I think is kind of silly, but what do you say? I don't know. But Edel was there in spirit and also actually in the chat, but I played a lot of her decks. Steve, I played a lot of your decks. I did not play your Svalna value deck. I left that one for you, buddy.
I didn't expect you to.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to.
I
mean,
imported it. I built it.
Yeah. Wait, which one? The Shadow Spirit one?
No, not the. There was one.
I think that was probably the only one I gave you because the only other decks I did were like Quest Priest and Thief Priest, which wouldn't have made it under the line because I just put a couple of cards in there.
It might have been Shadow Spirit. I don't know. There was a Svalna in it, and it looked like it kind of didn't do anything, but it would have annoyed me. Every
priest deck that I'm going to build is going to have a Svalna in it. So I mean, that's not saying anything.
But I will say, I did lose to Zed a lot today.
Oh, really? What was he doing?
He was playing Whirlpool Plague Spreader Priest.
No.
No.
I was playing Big
Why?
Shaman. I was playing this really clever Big Shaman deck from Absicult, where your only Nagas are 2 Barbaric Sorceresses and 1 Crushclaw Enforcer. And your only spells, you have Wind Chill, Schooling, and then Criminal Lineup, and From the Other Side. And I criminal lineupped a Talon on turn 6, drew 4 cards, then on turn 9 played a From the Other Side that triggered multiple invincibles and the 3/8 shooty thingy, and like it was rad and it was cool. And then he played Whirlpool and everything died from everywhere. And then I got whittled down by Plague Spreaders and Midas.
My God.
It was very on brand for Zed a lot, and there's a rule in Theory Crafting. I don't know if you all know this. If you're against a streamer, you're not allowed to concede because they might be making a video. So I had to sit there.
You have a Zed-a-lot exception to that rule. Like that's
he
not,
needs to make
that's
videos
not
too.
cool.
Listen, I did my part.
There's an
He has a
understanding
video.
that the priest wins by the opponent's concession.
Okay, then in that
that is the win
case,
condition.
in
Yeah.
that case, I denied him the satisfaction, so I won anyway. You don't get to see me leave. You got to do the work.
Oh.
Spread your own plagues. I won't do it for you. So, anyways,
Oh. I hope that's not the way Priest is gonna go, because I will play it and I'll be annoyed about it.
it has a very good big shaman matchup, but I don't know how often that's gonna come up. But it did happen once today. I did not queue up again, and when I did, it wasn't him. Thank goodness. Anyways, point is, had a good time. I played 25 decks over 38 games. It's all linked on my Donkey page. No, I haven't found a better way to say that yet. But on the Donkey website, it automatically cataloged everything. Also, just for the record, I used Firestone. Very positive experience. I still don't like their replays, but it is so much easier to stream with Firestone because there is an option to integrate it into the Hearthstone window where you just don't have to change anything and the deck tracker is there. It kind of
Yeah.
works like magic.
I mean, if your PC can handle all the extra load, yeah.
I did not notice any major slowdown, but my PC is also fairly kitted out, so use at your own caution.
Yeah.
I am sure that it is more draining, and I would rather not have Overwolf my system, but I had a very positive experience using Firestone. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That is my experience as well. That, prefer not to use Overwolf. I think when I was streaming a bunch more, I just got the premium, so there's no ads. But yeah, the UI is just really clean, and as you say, really easy to integrate for streaming. But I would do this funny thing where I would hide Hearthstone Deck Tracker. So it would be running in the background for the replays, but with no visuals. And then I would have Firestone also going for the visuals.
I might end up doing that, but unfortunately, Hearthstone Deck Tracker was not updated in time for the Lich King card database.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But
Which was the main reason I downloaded Firestone in the first place.
yep. But
Last time.
I was very impressed with my Firestone experience. That's all I'll say. Anyways, played a lot of cards, played a lot of decks, had a good time. We should talk about it. I've also been talking about Hearthstone all day, so forgive me if I am more abbreviated or insane today, but that's just going to be how it goes. Anyways, we're going to go into the news, which is talking about the new cards, and we're going to go into tournaments briefly, then we're going to talk about the new cards. Let's go.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Patch 25.0. It is in your client. It is there. If you're an Android user, you've already downloaded this twice. There was a bug where the second time you launched the client after updating, it would crash on Android. Which was... So, people were reporting problems. And I downloaded it, and I'm like, I don't know, it's working fine for me. Then I went back to launch it the second time. Oh, I see now. But they pushed out a hotfix already. So if you still have the crashing problem, go download it in the store, but it's already been in the Play Store for a little while. But patch 25.0 is out. It's fairly large. Usual expansion pre-patch. So expansion launches the 6th. Dual type minions, reborn keyword. The nerfs went live for Theatar and Ice Revenant, and also shout out to Mad at Arms for reminding me and Blizzard that these nerfs happened, and they got them into the patch notes, because we all heard about it like a few weeks ago. I forgot. Like, I assumed it already happened, but I forgot. Because I remember watching the Death Knight show match, and I was like, oh, Theatar 6, nerf is live. And then it actually happened in the game. So you can go get your Theatar dust. Signature cards are here. By the way, Steve, did you watch any of the streams today?
I was mostly modding in Dragon Rider's stream and then later in Sidisi's stream after I was out of meetings.
Did you two...
While over lunch and then after I was out of meetings. But I saw some of the signature cards, yeah.
What do you two think of the look?
I think they all kind of look the same when they're on the board. That was kind of my impression. I mean, and I'm looking at it on Twitch, which is like 2/3 of my screen, right? Because like it's not the full. It's not like I'm sure it'll be different when I'm playing, But like when I'm watching on Twitch, especially when I'm in mod mode, right? So it's like it's probably even less than 2/3 of the screen because I've got the extra, the extra screen real estate taken up with all the mod tools. So when I was looking at it on the screen in a Twitch window, it just looked like a gray oval, like all of them. Right? Like they look really cool in the hand, but then when they're on the board, they just all look like gray ovals to me on Twitch. Now it may look better when I'm looking at it in a full client that's taking up full screen, but I don't have that experience yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Edel?
I totally get that. I guess I don't even want to say opinion because it's kind of true. But I do like them. I also like Mr. Negative in Marvel Snap. So, and all of these signature cards sort of remind me of Mr. Negative art. I like the kind of colorless aesthetic, but it is a bit homogenous, and yeah, you really need to mouse over the card to see the difference. And something that Joss mentioned was that they look very different from like regular cards in terms of the bulkiness of the border. Like they're these big old stone looking things, and maybe they could feel more Hearthstone-y with a thinner border, but I don't mind that as much. I am really curious to see sort of how future signature cards appear, and potentially how strange that's going to be if you've got like a bunch of signature cards from different sets in the same deck, and they have their own sort of very different vibes, right? What if another one is like very colorful but still has this sort of big border, and it's alongside these kind of more colorless ones? I don't know. It could get very, very weird as we have more and more of these.
I mean, I guess like if you think about like how Magic does some of like the really premium cards, like I'm thinking particularly of like one of the D&D sets where they had the lands that looked like the module covers, right? Like I think that as long as they're thematically consistent, it'll probably be okay. And I think that like when you're looking at them in hand and like it looks really cool, and they're mostly class cards, so like you're probably only gonna have one right now. So it's like getting them mixed up probably won't be too much of a big deal, especially because I doubt you're gonna generate. There's no way to generate a signature card, right? Like none of these minions like generate other cards and would somehow generate a signature card. That would be a weird thing. So like there's a limited number of them. Most of them are class cards. You're gonna kind of know what you're looking at. I wonder if this would. I mean, and thematically it makes sense. Like this is all like very gray and gloomy and emo and whatever, and it makes sense thematically with the set. I just don't know if it's the best way to highlight them the first time that we're getting them.
So I expect they will just create golden stuff, right? Like, I guess this doesn't exactly work because it casts spells, but like Grand Magister or Ramath, recast each spell you've cast this game that didn't start in your deck. Right?
Yeah, it'll be like diamonds. They're premium, so they make golden things when they make them. But can you amalgam an undead and find a signature invincible? I don't know.
Right. No.
Well,
you probably have to have a signature amalgam, which doesn't exist, right? Because like goldens make goldens.
Yeah, I have no clue. I would assume that signature would have to discover something else that is signature quality, and I don't think there's any of that. I don't know. But the concept of signature is it's a high roll from packs of a specific full art card. That's the only thing that's locked in. They can do whatever else they want with it in future sets, right? They can make it more colorful, they can make it animated, they can make it different sign, different frame, whatever they want to do, because signature just means you can high roll into this in packs, and we have golden packs where you're more likely to get them. But they've also specifically said the style will change set to set, so they can do whatever they want. I do understand the disjointed concern. I will say I went through the collection on the Theory Crafting account yesterday, and I just typed in diamond and looked at a full page of diamond neutral cards next to each other, all dancing around there. It looks weird, like Uncanny Valley weird. It doesn't feel right.
Like a Harry Potter newspaper almost?
Yeah, or it just looks like a Clash of Clans thing, like a Clash of Clans commercial where they're trying to like throw the cards in, they jump out at you and cheer you on, yay, and then go spend some microtransaction money. But a page of signature cards. maybe this is appealing to the Magic player in me. They look like the
Oh,
nicest version of a physical card. They look like a thing
Yeah.
you would hold. They have weight, they have heft, they're a frame. They are not animated, not even movement of color. I would have expected the blue tones to shimmer a little bit. Nothing. They are flat. I think they would look great next to non-gold and non-diamond cards, just flat cards. And they would be the nicest version of that. It's going to take some getting used to. I am glad they are not super wide in appeal because they're expensive. They're hard to get, and if everybody wanted them all the time, then people would call it predatory. And that doesn't mean that there isn't opportunity for them to increase acquisition of these, and it also doesn't mean that it's a poorly executed product. I think it is niche appeal by design, and I'm glad it's niche because a lot of people aren't going to feel compelled to go out of their way to spend a bunch of money to get these. The people that are know it already. Like if you're
Well, in the
Well, I mean, I guess like whenever I hear about these things, I kind of keep going back to like remember when like Elise was unveiled in Ungoro, and like with the thing with like the pack opening.
yes.
And I remember Blister Guy talking about that, and he's like, "This is really cool because it's like an engaging thing on stream, right? And it's going to make people want to go and get that card because it does this really cool thing. It's really cool, and like the signature cards are really cool, but like the way that you're primarily going to advertise them outside of like people who read the patch notes is by people seeing them on stream and wanting to go get them. And when you're looking at them on stream, they're just kind of there. But I mean, maybe it's good for that to not be something that is that like, you know, desirable or whatever to kind of stave off some of the loot box concerns or whatever.
I mean, I think it's not just streams because they're also part of the mega bundle. So they're kind of, you know, giving everyone a taste who would get the mega bundle anyway because they didn't increase the price of the mega bundle. And with that sort of probe, okay, who gets a taste and is I want more of these, or who gets a taste and is like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, also people who are watching the streams today, or people who are watching the streams like first week, because you can buy the mega bundle up to a week after the set comes out now,
Right.
are people who might see that and say, hey, I can get one if I go get the mega bundle. Let me go do that.
Right, sure. Yeah, exactly. You could be playing against someone who had a mega
Right.
bundle and look at their signature
Yeah.
card and be like, oh, that's cool. Or, well, not worth it, right? But I personally like their inclusion in the game just to have something for me to get excited to open packs for. I know that sounds rude, like the free-to-play player base, but you can, at this point, hit a point with the game where you just get all the cards every time a new set comes out. Like those of us who play a crap ton and then also get the mega bundle, it's just like, all right, day one, open my packs, got all the cards. Now I don't have excitement to open packs whenever I get them through the rewards track and other things, as they like. I often just sit on them, right, until the mini set. And it's cool to now go, oh, well, actually, I could open them because I might open a signature, right? It gets me more excited for something that otherwise I'm opening for dust.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 99 packs before I've even spent any gold sitting in my account. And I've got, I think it's like enough for like another 130. And like, I do the pack opening streams, and like the second half of the pack opening, once you've kind of gotten all the commons and rares, and you're just basically like waiting for a legendary to pop, and like having something else to look for other than just like another golden common, you know, and get that kind of excitement, you know, if we're streaming and, you know, a signature pops out, that'll be like a clippable moment and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be one person who like gets multiple signature cards in one pack, and then that'll be on the front page of Reddit for a week, you know? So that, you know, I think it's good. I like that they're doing it. I just, you know, just going by my reaction, just watching them on stream, I was kind of, you know, I wanted to be more excited about it based on what I saw on stream, but I'm sure when I see it in game, it'll be a lot better.
It's also worth noting this is a 1.0 implementation. I anticipate that they will find ways to make these a bit more wide and appeal, a bit more compelling. Because, you know, I wouldn't call it perfect. I think that there is some appeal to it, and I think there are people these will appeal to, but I think there's probably a way to do it a little bit differently that more people would get excited about it. And I do wish these had a little shimmer or blue to them, like just the light bounces off them or whatever. But, baby steps. In addition,
it's probably good. It's probably good for them to be kind of subdued the first time out too, in case there are problems with them or whatever. Then
yeah,
yeah,
I think so.
They need to save the good stuff for like a return to Ungoro, right? That's the equivalent of Zendikar for Hearthstone, isn't it?
yeah. Or whenever they introduce panda monks.
Sure.
Yes, we got some time for that. All right, Death Knight Prologue is going to be available December 6th. You have to do this to unlock your Death Knight core cards. 4 missions. Won't take super long, just telling the story. Death Knight launch event. It will include some signature cards for you. They're free. Just finish your quests. It's fine. 6 signature cards, 2 copies of each of 3 non-legendaries. Marshal the Lich King pack and a special card back. A Winter Veil event will be coming later this patch, probably close to the holidays. There is a Tavern Brawl starting on the 7th, the day after the set launch, where it's Death Knight deck recipes, and you roll one of the 3 rune decks randomly. So Blood, Frost, and Unholy, and it is random. But it's just in the Tavern Brawl, where you can just pick each of the 11 classes and just roll a recipe. So, pretty cool. I'm glad that's in the patch right away. I'm glad that's the first Tavern Brawl right away. And while the Mega Bundle and the pre-orders are still on sale, it makes so much sense. Just, it's kind of silly they didn't do this before. Let me try out the new cards in the Tavern Brawl and then go buy them.
Yeah. They're getting better at this.
Yes. Got to be attracted to Microsoft. I can't wait for a year from now where loaner decks are on the Game Pass or something. I don't know. All right. Battlegrounds updates. They added a new hero in Hanzo Mechano. After each refresh, you give a random minion in Bob's Tavern one of the 4 random keywords: Taunt, Reborn, Windfury, Divine Shield. My understanding is both that this hero is not very good and that Reborn in particular is quite powerful on certain minions, like, for example, Manted Queen, as an example. Just throwing that
I would
out
imagine
there.
taunt is very bad on certain minions too. Like I don't want my Baron getting taunt. Like that seems terrible.
High variance. However, there's also a new quest where the reward, a new quest reward, is at the start of your turn, you get an enhanced part that gives +5/+5 in one of the 4 keywords. Taunt, Windfury, Divine Shield, and Reborn. The parts cost 0. So you get one of those spells in your hand, basically a permanent spellcraft sort of thing, once a turn, and giving your Manted Queen +5/+5 in Reborn. Again, pretty good. So, I don't know how it's going exactly, but I see BG's players tweeting, and, they're in their month 4 blues right now, but this has definitely exacerbated some feelings about the format.
I mean, would it have been? I kind of wonder when they just throw out. Okay, so this is also like, as far as Hearthstone lore is concerned, this is a deep cut. Like this is a goblins and gnomes minion, right? Like there's a lot of people who just have not been who started playing like long after this had rotated into wild. Like, is this something that they needed to do? Right? I mean, is it worth just throwing another hero into the pool, especially if it's kind of an underwhelming one, especially knowing that like the new season of Battlegrounds is a month away? You know,
well,
I don't know the answer
they need
to
to
that,
do they need to do something for variety, because there's a lot of conversation right now in the BG's folks about lack of variety. And I think it's interesting that the quest mechanic is far and away the best seasonal mechanic they've ever done, but also when you balance something invisibly, the novelty doesn't refresh after balance changes, right? It's not, you don't see things that are different. So they got basically their mini set a month ago, but think about what the discourse was around Hearthstone Standard a month ago before reveal started, because that's roughly where the BG's players are now. Not that great.
I mean, again, I hate to keep making comparisons to TFT, but they do a balance patch with like effectively invisible Like they don't remove any minions, any units, or add anything. They just change a bunch of numbers. But they make a pretty wide array of changes to make the meta feel different with each one of those patches, and it does feel different, and generally, reinvigorates a lot of play, after that. So I mean, maybe they could just be focusing on not even balancing, but like rebalancing, like maybe Nagas are too strong. I'm just making this up, and then just kind of change it up so that the meta feels a little bit different without actually new content. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, a month ago they got new content, got a ton of new cards,
right?
But it was
Well, yeah,
buried in the
that's,
DK announcement.
Yeah.
But they are a month away from the 0.2 release, which is their giant patch. So hopefully we will get there soon. I do feel pretty confident at that point that keeping quests in the game permanently is not the right call. Just that there needs to be some kind of novelty refresh and rebalancing the power curve temporarily. But I would hope for quests to come back like the way the Darkmoon prizes came back temporarily, maybe like as a part of a mini set equivalent for BGs. Just bring it back.
Yeah. Plus, Denathrius is always there if you wanna use quests long term.
Yeah, you can have
presumably he
him
would
discover
still-
a quest.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. But quests are pretty powerful, so if you had one and everyone else had none, that could be a little spooky.
Yeah, but
it is.
but he wouldn't get two, right? Like if they removed quests from the game, he would only get one at the beginning of the game.
But have you ever played against a Denathrius with a finished quest when you haven't finished yours?
No, I know that. I know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that like he'd only get one quest as opposed to getting two, where everybody else is getting one. But that's his hero power, and that's it.
Yeah, I could see it, but I would be concerned. I don't know. They
I mean,
should try.
Denathrius tends to elicit concerns. So
Yes, he does do that. Mercenaries, Rattlegore is now earnable by normal means. Haven't seen updates on the compensation for that yet, for the missing task, but hopefully they're working on it. Chromie is now available on the 25.0 rewards track, which launches on December 6th. She is a gnome that does time travel stuff. So she's on the rewards track. Duels, I don't remember. Did we talk about this update or just allusions to it? I forget.
We talked about the new heroes, and there was a line at the end of Regis's video that there was going to be details about the bucket changes in the patch notes, which we had not yet seen.
Right. So we seen them. Group learning is gone. Instead, buckets are always grouped by expansion. So the 3 cards you see in a bucket will always be from the same expansion. And the cards for the buckets are generated based on cards from your deck, and a bucket is generated based on the associated pool. We don't know quite how this works. If I were a gambling man, I would assume that there are sub-tags on these cards that are not visible to us. Maybe it is archetype-based, but probably like, we know this is how it works with imps and whelps, among other things. They have tags, you can actually search for them in the collection. You can search for imps, you can search for whelps. We know about this as well from Rafam getting back the Dark Alley Pact imps for the day that people were trying that. It rolls a card from an expansion, and then limits to that expansion, then looks for other cards that match some characteristic. So far from what I've seen, the buckets are thematically consistent, and it's like having more choices. You have more options, and generally speaking, you're able to flesh out that theme. Though I have seen a wide variety of responses to it, in that like the more engaged duels players were so used to the other way and were able to make it do what they wanted to do, that this definitely feels a little simpler and a little less exploitable.
Yeah, I mean, I will say as a intermittently engaged duels player, like it felt fresh to me, and I didn't feel like it was just throwing random cards at me from an expansion, right? Like there was definitely some rhyme or reason to the cards that it was picking. I don't know if they actually are just like taking groups of cards and just saying these will go into buckets together. They might be doing that, right? Like just like here's like, this half of the, like you have a class, right, in Frozen Throne or whatever, and like, okay, these 5 cards from this class go in buckets together, and these 5 go together with like these neutrals or whatever. They might be doing that, or it might be doing some more AI magic behind the scenes. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. But I like, there were definitely some stinkers, right? Like there were some buckets. It's like, oh, I'm not doing that. But no more so than, certainly not as bad as group learning. It always was. And I still felt like I was getting at least one bucket that made sense, at least. Sometimes I had two that I wanted to choose from. Usually I had at least one that like, okay, this makes sense with what I'm trying to do. And I've never really felt like I ended up with just like a pile, right? I felt like I had a cohesive deck, you know, even going, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 wins in when it starts giving you no more plays. So I think I know that Matt London tweeted there are some issues with it that they're working out too. He didn't really elaborate, probably because there's some sort of exploit or something that's possible. So he didn't really elaborate as to what the issues were, but there were some issues that the team was working on that they were going to have a fix soon. So this may not be the final form of what these buckets are supposed to look like. But so far, even with, you know, whatever issues there might be, I've been enjoying it a lot since the patch came out.
I'll have to give it a try just to play some of the new cards, because yes, previously some of my duels experience was just like getting group learning bucket, some other ones, and it was just like, cool. So, you know, I picked a deck list from something of like 12 win stuff, and my buckets just kicked me in the knees. Like you would just sometimes get complete jank where I'm like, okay, what in my deck told you that I wanted these cards?
Yeah. It's I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'm also curious as to how it's working. I will say I found this tweet from Tars that he got 3 buckets, and 2 of them were 3 Snow Flipper Penguins. So,
I mean, those were also like, I mean, it's in French, but that's the famous why not bucket, which is generally 3 copies of some, like, why. That's like what I got, 3 copies of Murloc Holmes, and you know, and then I took it and you know, magical things happen. But that's kind of a special bucket. It's not good that he got offered 2 of the same exact one, but that's not an expansion bucket. That's just kind of like an, you know, a special thing that you get offered sometimes.
Yes. So that's duels. Arena they'll rotate. Card sets are updating, going back to all sets that are in a more modern era. Though I believe that Nax and Gadgetzan are still in there, along with Frozen Throne, but I thought I remember reading that they were... Yeah. I thought I remember seeing somewhere that they were not doing the older cards this time around, but so far the list that we're seeing is Core, Curse of Nax, Mean Streets, Knights of the Frozen Throne, Witchwood, Stormwind, Lich King, Path of Arthas. I definitely heard from more engaged Arena players that the difference between old cards and new cards is just night and day, and you can really, really tell, and they just don't play well together. The old cards are just not in the same ballpark anymore. Yeah. But yeah, DK, we know how that works in Arena. As you pick, you're basically selecting your runes by the cards you take, and you will not be able to go and build an illegal configuration. I think we talked about the improved duplicate card handling, but we have more information on it. Whenever you open a signature card or claim an uncraftable card of any kind, Diamond or Rewards Track Golden, if you own it already in a lower quality, you will get a pop-up right then and there saying, do you want to re-roll the copy of the thing you already have in the lower quality to a different card you don't own of the same rarity? So, when you go in the rewards track and claim those golden epics, your base epics, you'll be able to re-roll them into different epics that you don't own from the same expansion. Yeah. Pretty cool. This does mean if you are a hold spacebar gamer or a script pack opening gamer, when you get to a reroll prompt, you will not keep opening packs until you acknowledge the dialogue box So be aware, script gamers. You have to pay attention. Because otherwise, you'll come back and see your compile stopped at 15%. Or the rough equivalent. But it's a nice change. In addition, we got a whole bunch of bug fixes. There was a bug where countered secrets would not be revealed when countered. That was a bug. They're fixing it. Afterlife Attendant Huntsman Altimore has been fixed. What else? Fixed a bug where Silas Darkmoon's rotation effect would kill Doomsayer. How did that come up? Who found
I love reading
that?
them. I love reading these because, like, it's like, what? How?
Yeah, Lotus Assassin wouldn't lose stealth after Flare was played. Who knows the text on the card Lotus Assassin? Someone tell. Edelweiss, do you know?
Isn't it the 2-mana 1/1 Death Rattle
Nope.
summon a... Wait, no. It's the discover a
Nope.
something from the Lotus.
Doesn't it
Really
like
neither.
do something when it hits face or something?
Nope.
Man.
Lotus Assassin is a card from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. It is
Well,
a
that-
5-mana 5/5 stealth. Whenever it attacks and kills a minion, gain stealth.
Oh man.
Someone
Yeah.
flared that card, and it stayed stealthed, and Blizzard took time to fix it.
You know what though? Because maybe it stole a Kama Prime stealth. Because they also had to fix a bug where a Kama Prime was not stealthy enough and would lose stealth when attacking. So maybe he took the Lotus Assassin took a Kama Prime's permanent stealth. We need to get Murloc Holmes on the case.
Yeah. Who finds this? Who finds this stuff?
Wild players apparently, or duels players, I guess.
Yeah. There was a bug fix to Leroy Jenkins. In fact, some Golden Hammer bug fixes. Some Mercs bug fixes. There is allegedly a bug fix where completing a heroic bounty is supposed to count towards normals. They said that that's been fixed. I got a report earlier this week that it had not been fixed, so I don't know. I passed the law. There was also a bug where Complete My Deck did not work with Renathal. Apparently that's been fixed. They fixed the level 100 hero skin, and they fixed the not getting quests at level 400. So that's been changed, and miscellaneous other things. I also will note, we got a brief note from Celestalon on Twitter that is being reported in the chat here. Make sure I hold this. 'Cause this seems important. I want to make sure I understand this. Let's see. Ramath in particular. He is available as an uncraftable diamond. And also available as a signature. So if you have him in diamond and you open the signature, you can't re-roll the diamond. Because they're uncraftable. So you can't re-roll an uncraftable card. I think that's the only card that is both uncraftable and signature. Liadrin and Death Whisper. Actually, there are a couple of them.
I thought like Ramath was like a special case because like Ramath wasn't originally supposed to be a signature, and then they had to switch it or something like that, or maybe that was just because it was
That's
not originally a
Haldoran.
mage card. Oh, okay.
So there are a few cards that are both diamond and signature. And that means if you own the diamond and then you roll the signature, you keep both. You don't get to re-roll either one. So there are only a few of those that can happen, but it can happen. In that case, if you own it in a craftable rarity, you'll re-roll it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is possible to open a different cosmetic version of a diamond card that you own.
That's gonna be a 1%er type of problem, right? Like,
We're going to hear
how
about
often is I know we're gonna hear it. I mean, it's gonna happen, right? I mean, like you miss 95% shots in XCOM too. Like it's going to happen because that's how probability works. but I would expect
The-
it's not going to happen that often.
I would hope the signature cards try and target things you don't have in diamond. I would hope that. But also, some people may prefer the diamonds with some cards. Some might the signatures. Like, I don't know, they're all cosmetic, right? So when they're all cosmetic, theoretically, more cosmetic options isn't a downside if you were in it for the cosmetics. But it is the same card that you can open in multiple ways, and the new functionality of rerolling doesn't apply here. So it's worth noting that. And if you happen to buy the Golden Mega Bundle, you get 2 signature legendaries. If you get Rameth and Death Whisper, are you going to go buy those diamonds?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the other thing, right, is that you're not like the diamonds you're not getting. Can you get diamonds out of the signature packs?
Nope. Diamonds you have
No,
to
so,
buy or earn.
Right. So like it's not like you can't really re-roll a diamond anyway because you're never rolling a diamond, right?
Yeah. And a signature
Like
is a specific cosmetic quality that getting it as a cosmetic option is what it's for. It's not meant to be a playable card that you don't have any other way. It's meant to be a super rare cosmetic thing that you can high roll into. So the positioning here is that if you were a high-end cosmetic seeking player, you want the signature and the diamond theoretically. And if you're not pursuing the cosmetics, then a signature will largely be a high roll of something you don't already own, because diamonds are high premium items that you either get from buying the optional tavern pass, getting every legendary, or buying them specifically because you want the diamonds in the diamond bundles. So it's the overlap between the two is going to be fairly limited and also not unintended if you are a super whale.
Yeah, and the signatures overwrite commons in packs, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
So you're not losing value. It's not like you got a legendary you already had, right? That is not the case.
Well, you could still roll a signature of a diamond you own. Just it's not replacing a different legendary; it's replacing a common.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. In the pack, yeah. You're not losing that one slot that's at minimum rare. Yeah.
It is still a high roll, not like
Correct.
oh, this would have been another legendary. Yeah.
I think so. Anyways, I admit I hadn't thought about it, but
Yeah.
here we are. It's worth keeping in mind if this matters to you. In addition, rewards track refresh happened. We're getting this Thursday. The achievements have rolled over already, but the rewards track rolls over on launch as usual. If you are listening to this, save one daily on Sunday. One daily on Sunday, and then don't clear any of your quests on Monday or Tuesday. So you have a full quest log when the expansion rolls over at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday when the set launches. The reason to have a full quest log is so that you can power through to that first free legendary as quickly as possible, which is level 20. If you save your quests, you'll get there in the first day. You'll get another free legendary to play with right away just by saving your quests and playing the same amount. The rewards track has a lot of really cool portraits, 11 of them. They're all each different class as a Death Knight, along with a Death Knight portrait for Darian Mograine. Best one, easily the Warrior portrait.
Yeah.
Unhilde
Not
Death
close.
Collar looks great.
Oh yeah.
Not close.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very excited. I also like to have Ebon Assassin Garona. That's a cool one. Fallen Year Out. I mean, there's so many good ones here. And we also got to see from the patch, not included on the rewards track, but there will be a legendary Sylvanas portrait that I'm very excited for.
It looks very cool. You could see it. There was I think in the video that originally showed off the Arthas portrait, the opponent was legendary Sylvanas. That was I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is, but Ben Heatstone tweeted that out a couple days ago. And you can kind of see how, like, you don't get to see all the emotes or whatever. And there's like voice lines between the two of them. There's like what seems to be actual, like a dialogue back and forth if you end up getting into a game between the two of them, which is very cool too. So I wasn't really impressed with the Arthas legendary skin, but the Sylvanas one looks very cool.
And the Arthas one, I did get to see it in action today. The best news that I have for you, Steve, is that after the first time I saw it, I didn't pay any more attention to it, and I was able to do
Okay.
that. It was not distracting enough that I couldn't focus on my gameplay.
Well,
the
that's
signature
good.
the signature card stood out to me more in play than the Arthas portrait. Like it's there, it's big, you know it's there. But if I'm looking to play my turn, he doesn't wiggle around up there and distract me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when they have a signature rogue portrait, when they're gonna wriggle around every time they're playing one of their 30 cards that they have to play right before they can see, maybe that'll annoy me. But
Cat.
He jumped over the backside of my chair. She's never done that before.
I enjoyed that very much. Good cat.
that was a legendary cat portrait.
You dare bite me now.
She's gonna do what she wants. So where was I? So the portraits look pretty cool. You do get there are quite a few cards on the rewards track as well, including signature Merogar and signature Death Whisper, which both look great. Some of the better signatures, in my opinion. And there are some Mercs things on the rewards track, but there's no BG stuff. So, and the Merc stuff definitely feels thrown in. Like it's definitely there because they don't know what to do with Mercs.
I mean, it's just one Chromie portrait, right? Is there anything else?
There are
Or two, or maybe two
multiple
corporate
Chromie.
Chromie portraits.
I think it
Yeah.
is all of the Chromie portraits, maybe not the Diamond
Okay.
one. But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Which they've
it's not
done
a
before.
lot. Yes. So what else? Known issues. Few of these. Let me go find this thing. Android, know about it, fixed. If you see a bunch of new clickable achievements in 25.0, fine. Let's see. Anachronos. He can cause disconnects while sending dormant minions through time. A hotfix is scheduled for a future date, which I maintain is how this problem started. Of dealings with things in the future.
Uh-huh.
There were collectible coins for old expansions shown in the collection. They're still in development, can't be earned right now. They will be earnable when ready, but the appearance is early. They're coming, but we can't play with them yet. There's also, remember how you can unlock free legendaries from prior sets via achievements. For Phelan, you have to summon a bunch of colossal appendages. The achievement for Denathrius was to deal 600 damage with Denathrius. So if you needed the card, you had to deal 600 damage with the card you didn't own. The team is looking to fix that.
That's one way to reduce the play rate of Denathrius.
Yeah. So, I think that's mostly it for known issues. Client hotfix patch is already out. A bunch of players are talking about how they're stepping back. Monsanto, Bunny Hopper, Fury Hunter. Really just like they're going to have a different relationship with the game. Bunny Hopper was dropped by his team. Fury Hunter's just burnt out because he played a crazy amount of Hearthstone. I don't know.
And they're not. I don't think either Bunny Hopper or Fury Hunter are quitting competitive Hearthstone, but they're just kind of reevaluating their relationship with the game, and it's going to have to change. I mean, Bunny Hopper in particular, like I'm not surprised. Like I don't think that's any reflection on him that Team Wood decided to drop him. I think it's just a reality of that the teams get a lot of their revenue from sponsorships from the sponsors having their logos on stream up an amount of time, and with Grandmasters ending, there's no way for the team to guarantee that amount of stream time. So, that's just kind of like we were trying to talk about this last week, but that's kind of the last hurrah for teams in Hearthstone, probably just because it's so hard to guarantee an amount of stream time for the sponsors to get seen. You know, and esports in general is, you know, kind of like when Hearthstone started, it was kind of the heady days of esports where every game that was like mildly competitively viable would have an esports team, and we're definitely not there anymore. So it sucks, but it sounds like Bunny Hopper is going to try to, you know, go into streaming full time, with still competition across, you know, as he can do it. I mean, Bunny Hopper, he's got a doctorate. Like, he can go do what he wants, but what he wants to do is stream Hearthstone. So, you know, more power to him. And Fury Hunter, like, I think what he's trying to do is just, it sounds like he's just trying to recalibrate so that he can continue to compete, because I mean, he was definitely grinding for a spot in the world championship, and he was like a few games away. Right. And he had a few shots at it, and, you know, unfortunately didn't make it there, you know, with the performance at seasonals. But it sounds like he might have been approaching it in an unhealthy way that's just not sustainable. So he's just kind of and I mean, as much as I want to see Fury Hunter playing, because I think he is one of the highest level players that's currently playing in the game. And like, his games are fun from like a technical perspective to watch. I'd like Fury Hunter to not completely like do in his mental health in the process. So, you know, like, that's, the person is more important than the competitor. So hopefully he is able to, you know, to reset and kind of get to a healthy place so we can see him competing again in a more healthy way.
Yeah. I think both these players are being reasonable. And, you know, they're just, this doesn't feel dramatic. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like we're in the middle of some drama. It's just people being grown-ups. And Fury Hunter in particular, fantastic player, but he was looking to be the best in the world. And he might very well be, but he didn't win the tournament he wanted to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you always assume drama when there's a twit longer, but in this case, that wasn't the case.
Yes.
And Bunny mentioned that he's interested in becoming a dev, and so I really hope that you know, whenever there's their next hiring round, that you know, he really at least makes it far, if not through. I think that would be pretty awesome to have another, you know, top level player on the team like that.
And then finally, one last news post here. They were able to get Hearthstone Access working using Guide Dev's tools, and a bunch of amateur devs put together and got Hearthstone Access, the accessibility tool for blind players. They got it working in 25.0. So, it's there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Sweet.
Hopefully, you know, that collective of developers will kind of keep that going until Blizzard figures out a more official solution. But it's good to see a bunch of people coming together and keep that running. I saw a bunch of tweets like, this was the day that I was expecting to not be able to play Hearthstone anymore, and I'm playing it. So, I mean, that's great. You love to see that.
Yes. All right, well, that's the news section. Let's talk about tournaments real quick, because Lobby Legends is this weekend.
It's the grand tournament!
Yep. So we do have Lobby Legends Winter Veil, starting tomorrow, Friday. Well, I guess it's Friday, December 2nd, or Saturday, December 3rd. These times are weird. It's hard reading them because it's starting on the day, but I guess it's Friday 3 p.m. Pacific, and also Saturday. Okay, so it's saying that the 2 days that it's running, because the way that it's written on the website is it's like Friday, December 2nd through Saturday, December 3rd at 3 p.m. and it's starting both days at that time. So Friday, December 2nd, Saturday, December 3rd at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, midnight Central European Time, 8 a.m. KST. This is going to be the $100,000 prize pool. That's the double prize pool that they've been teasing. Casters for this tournament are Derek and Pocky Plays, and Pocky is a well-known player within the Battlegrounds community. He often co-streams the Lobby Legends, and that's from the folks that are in the Battlegrounds channel in the Discord. Like, that is the go-to co-stream generally when you're trying to learn the game, because he gets another high-level player and you know, really breaks down the play. So I think him combined with Derek, who is a player who was a caster who, knows how to cast esports, but also takes Battlegrounds very seriously. I think that'll be a really cool dynamic. And I'm glad they're getting back to one of the regular casters paired with a high level player, because those were the really the better casts. Because you'd get both, the professional casting combined with a player who really knows and could explain what's going on in a lot of detail. So that'll be really cool to watch. The Tavern Buddy Twitch extension is back, if that's something you enjoy doing on the mainstream. And so we have 16 players: Penguins on, K3RSM, Shaxi, Rogojin, Ixty, Kuroniko, Max 7K, Vigu, IG Sword, Zanyang, Sarah, Zorg, Say Hello, Jag, Unse, Sliders, and last but not least, our Discord's own Jay Carrick is in the tournament. So that is, we're going to be going and rooting him on while he's playing, and that's going to be very cool to watch. The community co-streams will still be going on. The check format's still there. And this is going to be the last Lobby Legends for the year, but we know that there is going to be Lobby Legends in 2023 based on the fact that they've said that ladder will not count for standard or Battlegrounds for December, but it will for January. So presumably there will be Lobby Legends next year, and hopefully we'll get that announcement soon and see what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's tomorrow, and we've got cards to talk about today. So should we go ahead and do that?
So, as is tradition for the final pod before expansion release, we are going to do our card you can't wait to play with, card you're scared of, card you want to be good but isn't, card you think is over or underrated, and card you don't understand. Each of us have a pick for these. Sometimes we kind of cheat and say a couple of cards or a package of cards. It's just kind of how it is. And we also get to be embarrassed for whatever we picked last expansion.
We've been doing all right.
Yeah, I have had some misses, for sure.
I think I was pretty spot on last time, all things considered.
Well,
For
why
sure,
don't we get
ups and
into it?
downs.
Where are we starting? Card I can't wait to play with? Is that where we're starting?
Yeah.
Wicked, you want to kick us off?
Well, I mean, I'm a priest main, and Sister Svalna looks like a fun card, and if you like it, then you got to put a Svalna in it. That's all I'm saying, right? Like that's it's a card that's just, it seems like in any non like hyper aggressive priest deck, it just goes in there, and like, yeah, you got to play a 6-mana 6/6 that doesn't affect the board, but then it just gives you discover a shadow spell every as many times as you want. I saw a really weird like infinite combo with like a bunch of radiant elementals and like the minion that does 2 damage to both players after whenever you play a shadow spell. Like, don't do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to go there. Just throw it. Like, I made Quest Priest. Like Theotar getting nerfed actually helps that deck because it smooths the curve out. And then I just took out a Light Bomb. I put Svalna in, and I'm happy. And it's probably a better 6-drop than Svalna in that deck. I've got it in a Thief Priest. I've got it in the undead priest, even though it's a little bit more aggressive, just because like if if plan A fails, then maybe you just get a bunch of Void Shards or Amulets of Undying or whatever, right? And figure it out. It'll be interesting because I think a lot of the good shadow spells are going to rotate, and I guess we'll have to see post rotation what it's going to look like. But for right now, like it's just discover a shadow spell as much as you want. Like I will go to this Svalna all you can eat buffet. I am perfectly happy about that.
Yeah,
What?
I don't know. I'll try some stuff with Svalna, but I am kind of on the other side of the spectrum in terms of my pick. I want some combo back in my life. It's been a minute. You can't really call Denathrius combo. Like it's just not. And I think Mage has some serious potential with the Arcane Bolts. So just kind of arcane mage generally. We get to make our arcane bolts cost 0 and then hit the opponent twice, and you play all of them. It's like a repeating crossbow of arcane bolts. You just fire off like 6 of them. They cast twice. Maybe you've got a couple points of spell damage from an Aegwin or something. Like I'm super excited to try out maybe a quest mage version of this, more minion dense with Aegwin and like the spell damage guild trader, something like that. So I'll be messing around with that a bunch. Mage kind of, I always do some other classes, but then I gravitate back to mage. It's my comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute since Aegwin's been relevant too. So, I mean, I think Aegwin is kind of the way if you're doing arcane. If you want to fit Vexillus and like Magister's Apprentice in there, then that's 7 mana right there, and like you can't fit in Guild Trader unless you're not doing Bone Lord Frost Whisper in that deck. Like that's not a thing that, I mean, you could, but like that seems ambitious. But I mean, if you have Aegwin and like the rest of your minions cost 3 or less, or you hit it on an Apprentice or the Vexillus itself, then you're off to the races.
Yep.
What is the card that I'm trying to finish my other categories here. I'm giving the same answer as you, Edelweiss, in the next section. I don't care. Card I can't wait to play with? Void Touch Attendant. I don't care that's not new. I miss her. I miss that little gnome and doing damage. Really had a lot of fun with Shadow Priest. However, card I can't wait to play with that is actually in this set, or at least in this card drop, Tomb Guardians. I had a lot of fun with Unholy DK. And Tomb Guardians, 4 mana spell, double Unholy Rune, make 2 2/2s with Taunt. If you spend 4 corpses, give them Reborn. So you get the corpses back. It's a rebate. You spend 4, you get 4. It is Giggling Inventor. It is so hard to punch through this board. There's also the 4 mana 1/3 thing that makes 2 copies of itself and has Taunt when you play it in Unholy. You gum up the board very quickly. And you don't have to Bloodlust people. You can just Corpse Bride, Stitch Giant, and then just hit them. Hit them for a lot of damage. You just keep making boards over and over again. And it felt really nice. But Shadow Priest, I'm so happy it worked. It worked. It felt real. I'm so happy it worked. I've missed aggressive Shadow Priest so much. Steve, we can both be priest mains.
It's we can all be priest mains. It's fine. I will, even if you have to put Dark Bishop Benedictus in your deck. It's like, you're gonna go to the fancy restaurant, but you're gonna dump a bunch of salt on your steak. It's fine as long as you're eating there. It's okay.
Yeah, you salty? Are you the salty one?
Only when I'm playing against Thief Rogue.
So, last expansion, Steve, you wanted to play with Kel'Thuzad. How'd that go?
Yeah. It was fine. Yeah.
Edel, you wanted to play with Imbued Axe. It took a minute, but we got there.
It took a minute, yeah.
But it's great card, and by the way, when you liked it, it was worse. They buffed it, and it's insane now. It's so good now. And I wanted to play with Serrated Bone Spike and all the Miracle Rogue cards. What have I done? And Frozen Touch, which I enjoyed Frozen Touch. Card I'm scared of, so we typically try and pick different cards for this segment. So I look at what the other hosts wrote down, and then I try and pick a different card. So I saw Edelweiss picked Putricide. So I crossed out Putricide, then I scrolled through the card file twice. Then I wrote down, no, it's Putricide. Because Putricide, something that I learned today on stream, is that Putricide is a rogue 2 mana 1/4 that says, after a minion dies, add a concoction to your hand. It does not say friendly.
Minion.
Oh.
It does not say friendly minion.
Oh.
I knew this. That's why I was saying, hey, if you make trades, that's a lot of potions. Because your minion dies, their minion dies. That's a combined concoction already. So, yeah.
I hate this.
Yeah,
Yes, you
and
do.
you're going to
You
hate
do.
this even more. So I don't know if, it may take some refinement. I don't know if ultimately this will be the way
Are
to
you
go
going to talk
because
about
there's some
Azamat?
miracle-y
You
stuff.
talk about Azamat
Well,
Rogue?
No. What? No.
Jombre
no,
was
Jombre.
doing something. Jombre was
Okay.
doing something with
I
awesome.
no, we're not
Yeah.
discussing a Jombre decks at this time. No, so I made an SI7 rogue with these potions.
Oh yeah, because they're all battle cries except for the spell.
Called it Remix Quest Rogue.
Yeah,
And
Quest Rogue Remix.
what you can do is get the stealth trinket, or whatever they call it, the gadget.
Yeah, Gizmo.
Spy
There,
Gizmo.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spare part.
And it's not Intel next turn. It is just permanent stealth.
So you
So
just
you can-
leave Putricide stealth.
You just leave
permanently?
Putricide stealthed.
Oh,
You
I
can
hate
do
this
that
so
on
much.
the 2/4 that gives you one at the end of the turn too, and just leave that stealthed. So if people don't have ways of dealing with the stealth minions, you're just getting concoctions, and they summon more minions, or it becomes the card draw engine that deck sort of needed. Something better than just the draw 2 minions, right?
Or the secrets,
And-
which is how they were getting
Yeah.
card draw. Yeah.
Sometimes you get a pair of the deal 3 damage, and you just got a blazing torch, because why not? Oh my
It's
goodness, it was
the
so
thing that
satisfying to
messed
watch
me up
and terrifying.
when I was playing. The thing that messed me up when I was playing against it is they just kept rolling deadly shots and just picked
God.
my board to pieces
Oh
and
my
got
God.
rewarded for it with more potions. So I don't know if it's too good. I know that I played today and I was not allowed to concede. And I will tell you, the second game against the same person playing the same deck, after Putricide got rolling, I broke that rule. And if anyone wants to know why I conceded, I'll tell them. Anyone from Blizzard, you want to email me? It's you got my address. So I don't know if it's too good. I do know that when it's going, it reminds me a lot of Hanar feelings.
That's where that's where my brain was going.
They
Yeah.
get to keep doing everything. I can't really stop it, except this time it's not just a bunch of stupid secrets. It's damage and card draw and board and deadly shots.
And the
So
card draw gets you more potions on top of it from the minions that you get to play.
You're not
going
gonna
to
need more
That are
potions.
dying.
I
Yeah, I
played
know.
against this today. You're not going to have room in your hand for more potions. There was, with one of the games, by the way, with that Concoction Quest Rogue, my opponent did decide to have a good time with it, and they Ajar it into a Hydrolodon. We overdrew. But that was for the
Oh my
meme.
goodness.
Anyways, I don't know if it's going to be too good. I do know that Wildpaw Knoll Miracle Concoction Rogue was better than most of what I was trying to do in Theory Crafting today, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I'm sure it's beatable. But the feeling I had playing against it was not as positive as I would have wanted it to be. And I imagine we'll hear about it. And I do really like concoctions. I think they're great. I think they're very well done. I think they're compelling. I think they're interesting. And Wildpaw Knoll's an older thing that I'm not going to blame concoctions for Wildpaw Knoll. But Putricide, I think, plays into it a little bit too hard in a way that's a little bit too snowbally that might taint people's perception of the mechanic. When I think if it were a friendly minion, it would still be fine.
I mean, you're making it sound like the episode of The Simpsons where Bart ODs on the squishy machine, because like that's kind of what it sounds like. And I will just read this one comment from Craftasm in chat. It says, "Surprised the imprint is a 1/5," and that was my immediate thought too, because this sounds like a card that would have started at 1/5 and needed to get nerfed to 1/4. So at least they're learning from that. But oh man, I don't want another Hanar in my life. Like, just Rogue 1/4s are bad news.
So I will say, in terms of is it another Hanar? I think if you are the kind of deck that clears the board, it's not going to be as much of an issue because you just play your clean the scene and it's dead, right? It's
Or if you're playing
yeah,
Spellfell Rel, who cares? Doesn't matter. If you're playing
they're gonna have
Spellfell
they're-
Relic, there's nothing.
Because the turn before they play Putricide, they're going to play Perjury. The Perjury is going to roll into a counterspell, and I'm going to be annoyed. Like that's what's going to happen. I know it. I know what's going to happen already. And then it's going to be a clip for my stream. That's just the way things are going to work. That's the circle of life.
I don't know that we saw any perjuries today. I'm not sure people are really mixing secret package in. Maybe that'll happen. But I think in general, it's like, yeah, they can end up getting a bunch of concoctions, but if you are truly control, I think it's less of a problem, much less than Hanar was, where for control, it was a nightmare with all the guessing and things. This
Well,
one
it was even more just like if you didn't kill it the turn it came down, you never killed it because
Right.
they would just play like a full hand, like turns worth of mana on secrets, and there was no way to remove it at that point.
Whereas this one is much more of a, oh, we're playing board tension. Good luck.
Well, yeah. I guess it's more of the concern is by the time you kill it, the damage is already done, right? Potentially, like
So-
if they've already
It's-
gotten, like a bunch of like if they're not like tempoing it, right? If they just play it on a board with a bunch of crappy minions, right, and then just do a bunch of trades, like they've already got the value of it. Like you can kill it, but they've already gotten like 15 mana worth of potions.
Wicked,
that-
you don't have minions. Like, what are they going to trade into?
My taunts. I have taunts.
So I will say, I don't want to give the idea that there are any power level concerns about Putricide. I don't know if I have any. I'm not ready to talk about power level. I'm saying that when I faced this card and I couldn't concede, I considered uninstalling instead. So I just want to limit that feeling for other people who will have the ability to concede, but it's the same. It's also the Sethic Veilweaver problem, whatever you want to call it. Just when it's high APM, high resource generation on a cheap minion that feels like you can't stop it and can't get in the way, it can feel unpleasant. And I had that feeling today. But speaking of low cost, high value minion, Edelweiss.
Yeah, we'll go with this as my pick with you doing Putricide. Astalor. So my concern with this is not even like I feel like it's a problem power outlier. I just think that what we're gonna see is a switch to or just inclusion of Astalor in anything that would have been Denathrius control. Maybe you still play Denathrius, maybe you don't. But Astalor is a much more consistent finisher. Whether or not you kill them in one turn, probably not. But you can go Bran, Astalor, second half of Astalor to end up with just a ton of the final form. And, it's a bunch of resources out of nowhere. Suddenly you've got this thing that you'll do 16 pings repeatedly. And that's kind of spooky, right? Denathrius, yes, you can get that number way higher and it has lifesteal, but you work for it a bit more, whereas this is just like you're gonna see it a lot. And I found out that my armor combo druid doesn't quite work how I expected. You have to do a little more work because you don't gain as much armor as I thought, but had played it, and one of the times it wasn't even like the full combo playing everything in one turn. It was just sort of enough to play several things and then have Astalor after Astalor to clear the opponent's board, and I couldn't.
I had Asta 4. I had 4 of them.
Indeed,
It's-
right, and it's just very easy to get 4 since you Bran the first 2 stages.
Yeah, I was against a Murloc Shaman, and it was turn 8, and Edelweiss in chat like, you gotta wait till Mana Thirst 10. I was like, no, we're going now because we're gonna die. So it was a Nubricon, Bran for 3 armor, Astalor, and I had a Chitinous Plating from the previous turn, so I was at 12 armor. So Bran, go down to 9, Astalor 2, go down to 7, add 2 with the 5 mana ones in hand. 5 mana 1, gain 5 armor, so that was neutral. 5 mana 1, gain 5 armor, so that was neutral. And then Street Sweeper for 4 armor, Brand, just to clear the board. And that meant I was at 27. I had a 7/3 and 2 5/1s, and I had 4 8 mana Astalors that shot pings in hand. So next turn on turn 9, I played one that dealt 8 damage. The following turn, I played one that dealt 16 damage, and that was it. And I had 2 more ready if they needed me to.
I hope that animation's at least fast.
It is. Did not take
Okay, good.
the turns were not drawn out, and both players in that game knew what was going down pretty fast.
Okay.
And I don't
Well-
know that Druid needed help with, ending games once you're able to do the ramp thing, but this is faster. And so certain things where you might not have been able to do the clear. I kind of imagine a world where you now are a ramp Druid where you've just got double broom, double spammy, and Bran Astalor, and you get to go scale and Unending Swarm to redo the scale. There's just going to be a lot of clear in Druid, and so that's kind of what has me scared more than anything else. Maybe it's not Nathrius that's ending games, but it is Astalor.
Yeah. Does it work like Denathrius, where like if you have solid alibi, you only take 1 damage? I don't know if you know that for.
No, they're pings.
No, they're separate pings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Denathrius only works that way because the lifesteal
lifesteal.
animation has to play after each instance of damage dealt. So if it was lifesteal
okay.
pings, it would always be shoot, flash, shoot, flash, shoot, flash, and do the lifesteal heal every time. So it has to be that way for a technical reason.
Okay.
So, and Steve, what are you scared of?
So, Shallow Grave, the Warlock spell that 2 mana Warlock spell, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle, then destroy it. So basically, do a death rattle twice. I don't know, and I don't know if people were doing this. I'm sure they were trying. I don't know what the right combination is. I'm old enough to remember Q block, so like that text is very spooky. I mean, I do know that what's his face, the undead Darkhan Drathier obviously is kind of the target for like a Flesh Behemoth or Masked Reveler or whatever. I assume that people were trying that. I don't know how successful it was, but even if it's not like this set, there's going to be something where this is spooky.
It either is bad or needs serious refinement.
Okay.
So, Edel, did you watch any streams beyond mine?
No.
Okay. When I played with Warlock decks today, it felt like this class is in trouble. You'll be able to play Curse Imp just fine, I'm sure. But not a single one of the new cards worked for me. Not a single new card the entire day. I will point out, there was one game where I got close with the Q block equivalent control that Edel built. And I got kind of greedy, and I Bran Kazakhist. Not Kazakhstan. Bran Kazakhist for 2 10-mana golems.
Oh.
Which
that's a choice.
It was too greedy. I could have won that game, I'm pretty sure. But the deck did not feel good, and just it's such an uphill battle in so many different ways, and the rewards don't feel that great right now because a couple big minions that you have to work that hard for is not worth it. So I didn't and in that same game, Drathier was the 30th card in my deck. Like it's possible that it could have performed better. But Edel, I mean, you were there, you watched it. It didn't look like it was close to being ready.
Yeah, I mean, there were things I was thinking, like maybe you just need second Grimoire instead of Kazakus. I was just like, oh, there's no 4s. Sure, Kazakus.
Yeah.
And maybe only one flesh giant, or not giant,
Behemoth.
So that you can more consistently hit Drathier, because I think you really want to hit Drathier, and then you want to brand the resurrect thing, so you get 2 resurrected reborns that are pretty sizable.
And like Tamsin habeas corpses and stuff like that.
I wasn't doing habeas corpses because there's too many other minions going on, right? There's the imp card drop package. So
oh, okay. When I built it, I wasn't bothering with the imps. I was just going full control.
And I have explosive sheep in there to go with Shallow Grave, because then it's like another use for it, in an aggro matchup, right? That's a 4 damage for 4 mana, 2 cards, like pretty reasonable. Things didn't end up lining up great, at least in the games that I saw. But
and this is not necessarily like immediately, right? But I mean, at a certain point, there will be a scary death rattle, and like it didn't take, maybe it's not like phylactery level. Like they figured out phylactery real fast, right? And this is not, thank God, it's not phylactery. But whenever I see double death rattles, I get spooked. So it may take a while for the right death rattle to come along, but we've got a year and change with this card. I imagine at some point either we'll get something in the mini set or something will come along eventually that will make this spooky.
Yeah.
I understand the concern. Joss had the same feelings. She also has Q block memories. I can tell you that this is very far from Q block, at least from what I played so far. Just in terms of relative power and survivability. Last expansion. Steve, you were scared of Widowbloom Seedsman. Good call. Edelweiss, you were scared of Sinstone Graveyard. Reasonable. Me, I was scared of Impending Catastrophe. How did that end up being the least nerfed of these three? I guess Rogue was only nerfed after a buff.
They didn't nerf Widowbloom. They didn't nerf either of those cards. They just nerfed around
They nerfed
them,
Druid.
Right?
The decks these cards were in. Vial Library got nerfed by +1/+1 total. Rogue, Edwin got crazy overbuffed and then immediately reverted. And Druid got a bunch of stuff happened to Druid. Earth and Scales went to 2. Kael'thas to 8.
I mean, they nerfed Vial Library.
By one thing. It's
I mean, they only
Impending
nerfed
Catastrophe.
Edwin after they buffed him.
We were so scared about Imp Warlock when Nathria came out. We were so scared.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be like, good. It's a good deck.
Yeah.
Cards we want to be good but aren't. I'm going to start because I feel like making Edelweiss sad today. Decks built around the word arcane. They were all so aggressively mediocre today. I played 4 solid alibis against a Quest Hunter and lost.
It's Quest Hunter, though.
Vexilus was in the bottom 5, but I needed to go find it, and you have to hold these combo pieces forever, and we don't really have an arcane payoff for draw. You're just kind of loading a bunch of stuff in your deck that you have to do stuff with all game and then hold the pieces. There's no payoff for playing the arcane spells earlier. There's no way to get more of them faster that involves other arcane spells, in the mage at least. And the Hunter felt okay, but there's a lot of weird internal tension. You have surprisingly low lethality. Because the only new arcane spell that goes face is Ricochet Shot, which you cannot target. An Arcane Shot, which 1 spell damage buff means you are Sinister Striking. So, Conjuring Shot, decent card, but I think if that went face, we would be okay. And I think if Halderon, the 3-mana 3/4 legendary, arcane spells in your deck at +1 spell damage, that can hit hand. It would be fine. Because as of right now, I'm going to say this exact same sentence on the Angry Chicken. I don't care. I want to repeat it. As of right now, it feels like a punishment for drawing your arcane spells in your Arcane Hunter deck and also your payoff legendary that buffs arcane spells in your Arcane Hunter deck. When you play him on 3, you're sad if you've drawn the spells that you built your deck around with the legendary that you built your deck around. Why am I sad?
But aren't you supposed to hit those with the Silvermoon Forest Riders?
But if I don't have one of those 2/3s, why can't I make a second Lynx after I draw my Spider Tank payoff? I have an Eversong Portal in my hand. I have a Halderon in my hand. And I go turn 3 Halderon, then turn 4. I can't play my Eversong Portal because it's a bad card. It's 1/4/4 with Rush for 4. Why don't I get the payoff for my build around Legendary with the cards that I drew already? Instead of it only being the top card of my deck.
I mean, it's Fizz, what the hell is it? The dragon card all over again.
Yeah, Frizz Kindle Roost. Yes.
Thank you.
That is unfortunately a good comparison. How did Frizz Kindle Roost go?
Not well. Not well at all.
And a
I will
lot of
say-
the cards felt close, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a bit of small sample size and no chance for refinement quite yet, right? So we'll see if it ends up kind of continuing to be that way, or if someone comes up with a list that's able to capitalize. I do think that perhaps in both cases they benefit from being Quest Mage, because then you've got this +2 spell damage going on. So even if you aren't saving stuff for the combo, I mean, each of these things starts hitting pretty well on their own. And in Hunter, just because, it's more damage stuff and you don't have to do the secrets, maybe you can be a faster Quest Hunter.
Yeah.
But that's still partial, right? I don't know that you want to run the rush thing in that deck, and that is otherwise kind of the insane payoff, right? Like we saw it had one spell damage on it, and then No Hands played the give your next spell +2 spell damage, the Talented Arcanist, and that on 6, and it was like 4 rushes. It was a huge swing. Now, you ended up swinging back with Marrowgar, but if not, like, it was a huge board.
Oh, that was Language Hacker. Yeah.
Language Hacker. Sorry.
It felt competitive, and then he lost, which is what happened to me when I played Arcane Hunter. Is that it had good turns, but it's not a good deck. So I want it to be a good deck.
Right. Well, and that's why I think like it could be a refinement issue, right?
Sure.
Or there's more in the mini set issue, right? That's possible as well.
Or it's a theory crafting stream format issue, right? Like we've talked a lot about how these packages are not recipes, right?
Yeah.
A recipe would be I take all the cards that say arcane, I put them in a deck, I find 20 other cards, and I'm good, right? I when I put together Quest Hunter with the arcane cards, I only have 6 cards from this set in it.
Yeah.
I only have 2 arcane quivers, 2 conjured arrows, and 2 ricochet shots, and that's it. But that's good enough to allow you to cut Renathal in the secret package and get it down to 30 cards. So hopefully it's more consistent. But you can't play that in theory crafting because that's not enough cards. And like, if you're going to start putting in the minions, that's going to make it worse. If you're going to put in like other spells from the new, I mean, there aren't really any other good spells that make sense for Quest Hunter. Like, you don't want to play the one that summons the link. I mean, you could, but you don't really want to. It's expensive. So like, this may be it's important that we, take the data that we're getting from the theory crafting stream, but also remember that this is a very specific meta that we're not going to have it on a week from Tuesday, or not a week from Tuesday, on Tuesday, right? Like, it is going to be a little bit different because you're just gonna be able to build the decks how you want.
It will be. I was surprised at how disappointed I was by both arcane decks because I thought they were going to be super rad and I couldn't make them function all that well. So I hope I'm wrong because I want them to be good, but I don't think they are. Edelweiss, I'm also pretty sure your answer is right.
Yeah. Alexandros Mograine. I mean, look, if you're doing Bran Astalor, that's so much faster than Bran Alexandros, right? Like, you do both of them on 10 for the maximum effect. And it's actually like kind of challenging to stall enough for 6 damage a turn or 3 damage a turn to be relevant, right? It seems like things are going pretty fast. So it's like Lorth Martheron, just a war golem when you play it. So yeah, as much as I want to have, super grindy thing, I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm guessing it's not really the appropriate win condition. I do wonder if at some point there may be more aggressive, like weapon-based blood DK that will then sort of like top out at Alexandros. And actually, I think that approach is kind of where one of my later picks may shine, if I'm correct about it. But it's much more relevant if like you are something that is already actively dealing damage and now you're doing 3 damage a turn than if you are just trying to stall and then they take 3 a turn.
Yeah, I did find actually Blood DK had a little bit better pressure than I was expecting in terms of like on-curve plays. And I actually think Corrupted Ashbringer might be a thing that we do because Corrupted Ashbringer, 6 mana 5/2 weapon with lifesteal. If you don't have to trade anymore, then that is a Pyroblast. It's not an Arcanite Reaper where sometimes you have to punch minions. The goal there is to build a deck where you are ahead enough that you stop trading because the damage that you will take by not trading will be mitigated by the lifesteal, the 10 life that you're gaining. And then either you clear with Soul Stealer and punish after, or you just kill them somehow. And curving Corrupted Ashbringer into Mograine into Soul Stealer, which is 8 mana 5/5 Twisting Nether, you're dealing 16 and clearing the board. It's not nothing, right?
Yeah. So I may just have to reevaluate how I initially constructed for a card like this. And yeah, maybe it'll have to be like 30 card blood, all the weapons, and just using the lifesteal and the clears just to buy time for you to hit face, right? Maybe something like that is going to be more effective.
I agree that the grindy control thing will run into some serious problems just with how the meta's going to go. You won't really be able to consistently run people out of cards, but sometimes you can. And so if you're able to survive against the aggro and then play a more mid-rangey pressure game against the Renathal decks, maybe it's worth doing.
Yeah, I
Steve?
mean, attrition has not really been the way that you win games the last few months.
This
And
cat
I'm
has been
not-
all up in your business
Yeah.
all day.
I was gone all day taking care of my nephew. I guess she
Oh.
misses me.
Well, you
Or
got warm
she's
lap.
cold. Or
Yeah.
she's
Yes.
yeah.
It can be both things. And Steve,
Yeah.
you picked one of the sweetest cards in the set that I also really
know.
wanted to be good, but like
I want Big Shaman to work. I really do. Overlord Drakuru, not the 9-mana 6/8 Rush Wind Fury. After this attack that kills a minion, resurrected on your side. I really want this to work. I know you said that there was that really sweet Big Shaman. I want to
Yeah.
believe. I've been down this road so many times, and I will start running at the football like Charlie Brown, I'm sure, because that's just the way I am. But I find it hard to believe that it's going to be able to work consistently enough to be able to do anything before it just dies. Like, I think that Drakuru, and when you do get it to go off, like how impactful is it going to be? Are you going to like kill? It has to live, right, in order for that text to go off, because it says after. So Drakuru has to live through the
Drakuru,
attack.
if it's
right?
an after effect, it has to live. After always
Right.
means it has to survive, yeah.
So like you're getting something that's not going to kill it, that you care about. I mean, I mean, sometimes you just care about getting a couple minions, but like, like how often are you just going to get like wisps or like 1/1 imps or whatever, because that's all you're able to kill. Like I think there's a lot that has to go right for Drakuru to be good. I want it to be good. I love that kind of deck, but I've been burned too many times.
The question really is, why should I play this over Insatiable Devourer?
Right.
Yep.
You have to care about the text on the card, basically, because Insatiable Devour does the same thing, except that it doesn't have to attack anything, and it kills 3 things, where this only kills 2.
Last expansion, you wanted Harvester of Envy to be good, but it wasn't. I am glad you were right. And it was like kind of okay for a second there, but
I had a good time with it when I played it. I had my moments. I'm not playing it now. I don't expect to be playing it when the set drops, despite getting the new Thief Priest card. It's awkward. I think that if we didn't have Renathal, it might actually be better, because it just feels like you're stupid to not play Renathal in a control deck, but also like you have 1 Harvester of Envy and 40 cards, and like you just aren't able to keep that many stolen cards in your hand for it to do stuff a lot, unless you happen to go up and you happen to steal a bunch of stuff from like a Celestial Druid, and then you just get to get on Trolled. But other than that, like, it's also like the other thing that makes it a little bit difficult is that you can't tell until you've played it what's actually stolen from the opponent and what's copied from the opponent and what's not just like there. Like if you have 2 copies and one's from your deck and one's from theirs, you can't tell. Or like there's like weird edge cases with things like Frozen Touch, where like you stole a Frozen Touch, but then they played it and generated a new one, and that one doesn't count. So there's like a lot of like knowledge you need to have about what counts and what doesn't, and it's
player
just
burden.
hard to play
A
with
lot of
confidence.
player
Yeah.
burden.
Right. Like, I would love it as soon as it came in the hand, because they'll glow once you play it, but they don't glow when it's just sitting in your hand.
Yeah.
So,
Adel, you wanted the Countess to be good. They buffed her. She's all right. She's okay.
Yeah, and I did play a bunch of Countess and win to the surprise of many people, I guess. and
I like your,
You know,
Paladin
I had
decks.
some
I
good
like
times.
those.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're alright.
And then I wanted collateral damage to be good and thought it wouldn't be. They did fix the bug. It's a fine card. It's not terrible. It's
It
not
was a lot
like
better when it was
unplayable.
bugged.
Well, sure, because it didn't work right. It dealt double the damage in the first half for some reason. And then Orion, he's also like the mage secret card.
Oh, yeah.
He's good
Yeah.
in wild now. And like
Yeah,
you
Duel's
can play
pretty good,
secret
too.
mage in standard, but in
Yeah.
You
wild
want to
he is
talk about
infuriating.
Hanar, like,
It's except it plays it for you.
yeah.
It's really something. Yeah, I'm not sure I actually wanted that to be good. That might be the mistake that I made. So, over underrated. Steve, I didn't know anyone had opinions about this card. Scourge Tamer. This is the Hunter, 2-mana 2/2, Battlecry, craft a custom Zombeast.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think that we talked about this to death last week, so we've gone long enough that I can kind of keep this short. Like, you can go back and listen to what I said last week because it pretty much applies. But I think that the Zombies pool is weird, and also the Zombies are value in what's probably more of a tempo deck. So I think that people remember Deathstalker Rexar, and this is not Deathstalker Rexar. So
For me, I am going with Disruptive Spellbreaker, underrated, but specifically because I realized how I think it is able to shine. Much like what I described with Mograine, I think Disruptive Spellbreaker could be real if there's some kind of mid-rangey warrior where like you're on the offense and you're making them discard their board clear, rather than you're on the defense trying to just be disruptive, and playing Call to the Stand, and that's it. Like, then you've got too many disruptive cards and now you can't clear the board. But if you are being aggressive or playing Lorthamar Theron, and now this is an 8/10, right? And you're just getting them to discard the spell that they would have otherwise used to clear your board, that I think might have some kind of potential.
I mean, it's played by Esther Okani, right? Like, it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same thing, right? It's like you're ahead on board, and then you're playing this to try to stay ahead, because ultimately you're trying to get rid of whatever spell is going to help them get back on board. So sometimes sometimes you whiff on Okani, and sometimes this will pull the coin, and that'll happen. But I think that, like, as a card that you play like after you've managed to get board back, and then try to keep board. And I mean, it's a reasonable body by itself. Like a 4/5. I mean, it's a Yeti, but it's still like that's still like not nothing if that gets to connect a couple times.
I envision it being a card that I hope I don't face very much. And for me, an underrated card, Nerubian Vizier. This is a neutral that I think we're going to be seeing a lot of. I think it's this set Scorpid, for those that don't know what this card is. 3 mana, 2/4, common, undead. Battlecry, discover a spell. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, it costs 2 less. So, I'm going to tell a brief tangent that sounds like a non sequitur. It isn't. It didn't feel like DK discovering outside of rune restrictions was broken. It was good. It was strong. It made me want to build in specific ways in the class. School teacher really, really good in that class when you can get Plague Grain, Vampiric Blood off the same discover. But it didn't feel violating game rules in a way that I was mad about. It felt within the bounds of like, listen, we've been playing against Thief Rogue for how long now? This didn't feel anywhere near as out of bounds as Jackpot into Swift-Scale Trickster, right? It seemed like it was something that happened in the class, and it was a quirk of the class. That is context for me telling you that I was playing Unholy DK, and I played this and Discover a 5-mana Frostworm's Fury. It was pretty good. It was all right. Now, my opponent that game may have had a different opinion on whether or not that was broken. Also, that was the game I played against Language Hacker. He had 4/4/4s with Rush, and then they froze.
I bet he gave you a very polite clap after that.
we had mentioned that on the stream, that I bet we knew what was going down over there at twitch.tv/languagehacker. But I played this card throughout the day in multiple different decks. It surprised me every time because discovering a spell and then making it cost 2 less is good. I understand that sentence, now they say it out loud, not that surprising, but the body is fine, and it's not super hard to activate if you build for it, and the payoff was worth it. So, I expect this card to see a lot of play. I think it's being under-talked about, not talked about enough, not included enough deck lists.
Yeah, and especially after rotation, too, when the pools get smaller.
Yes. Last set, I thought that evolve mechanics were overrated, thank goodness. I stand by that being true. Muck pools on Knoll was still a thing, but Shaman didn't feel super overpowered in terms of the evolve stuff. The Renathal Shamans, they needed a nerf because of Snowfall Guardian. And that was the villain, and it got dealt with.
And Primordial Wave wasn't like making gigantic boards. Primordial Wave was getting rid of taunts or death rattles mostly.
It was an equality with upside, not evolve with control attached to it. Right? You played it as a reactive tool, not as a proactive one, because you couldn't attack after you played it.
Right. We saw very few, like, was it Convincing Disguise or the one that evolves your board? Is that the one?
Yeah,
like it involves one minion, and if you infuse it for,
yeah. We saw
the fact that we don't remember what the name of it is tells you how much it was played.
I think oddly that card has been worse because the main thing you pair it with, Tiny Toys, like you go from 5 to 7, and that's just bad. Like if it was Evolve 1 and not Evolve 2, I think it would have been way better because the quality of 6 drops is just higher than the quality of 7 drops.
Yeah, but people only remember when you evolve into Mr. Smite, so it's fine.
Edel, you thought creepy painting was underrated.
Well,
can't win them all.
Nope. Hasn't panned out.
Maybe something. Maybe we'll come back to this near and be like, oh, remember how we talked about this? And it'll look dumb, and then it's part of this broken combo with Amorphous Slime.
Maybe that's
like,
the missing
I don't know.
piece. That's the missing piece to the Death Rattle Warlock deck, maybe.
I mean, the image I had in my head was like a meta where people are doing, decent sized minions, and you are a deck that has cheap removal, and you go like creepy painting, Shield Slam, or something like that, right? Or execute. And you have this huge swing where you get to kill their thing and get it on your side. But we just haven't had that kind of situation appearing.
Yeah.
Or because instead you do Insatiable Devourer.
Yeah. I mean, Headmaster Kel'Thuzad seemed like it was going to be stronger than it was, too.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one, too.
What was the Wombo combo with him? There was something really crazy.
There was something.
Oh, Rattlegore Provoke. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I remember there was a Kel'Thuzad in play, and then, I was playing against Lambie, and he had a Rattlegore in play, and then played Headmaster Kel'Thuzad and provoked on the Rattlegore. And the Rattlegore also died from the provoke his own Rattlegore, so we got a second one of those too. Yeah. I remember that, now that I think about it. Pretty distinctive memory.
Yeah, that said, there were a lot easier ways to get multiple Rattlegores on the board if you were playing as Priest, so,
Yes.
There was a brief period where Shield Shatter was also available there, and Kel'Thuzad survived Shield Shatter, but it did 5 everything, so that was another good Wombo combo.
Yeah.
Steve, you thought Lady Darkfane was underrated. Yeah. We have balanced out creepy painting. You right. We balanced.
I was probably understated how much that was underrated. But that was the exact combo that I was calling at the time too, because I think I don't remember if I saw it or I just like looked at the shadow cards and saw that was coming, and it took a little while for a Cursive Block to become a thing, but once it did, yeah.
I think it wouldn't have enough damage without Lady Darkfane.
Like when that gets the Itard, like you're very sad.
Yeah.
And whenever you do Abyssal Wave into Darkfane Grimoire, it's filthy.
It's filthier when you get to Brand and you get 4 of them.
Well, then you just win. Like,
yeah. No, then they don't have enough hand space.
Yeah.
So
you still get the curses ticked up for the next one though.
Yep.
I don't want there to be a next one. I want them to die. Stop playing with your food. All right. Card we don't understand. Last category. Edelweiss. I want you to go first. Kind of talk to me about this one. Enchanter.
Yeah, so this is a 3-mana 3/3 where your opponent's minions take double damage on your turn. And this is just a really interesting text box that I don't quite know what to do with. Like, I don't know if this is something that you want to play for favorable trades, or if you do it with some kind of cheap removal to get a clear that's somehow better than you could otherwise get with spell damage, or maybe something that would be simultaneous, but because it does more damage to their stuff than your stuff, it's better. Like, I don't know if there will ever be something there. Maybe this is just another creepy painting where it's really interesting text, but ultimately doesn't do anything. But I really appreciate that these neutrals, they're just throwing weird stuff out there, and like maybe something will hit eventually.
I mean, I know what I would have wanted to do with it if Il'gynoth was still in standard.
No,
I mean,
It's-
that's because I mean, we've seen like whenever you see the word double, like
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm gonna think about is like how do you can get that bumped up a lot if there's ever anything that like your damage to your opponent's minions also hits their face or whatever, right? That's when you care. I don't see anything in this set that's gonna make that matter, but it took a while before Moarg was as prevalent as it was because Il'gynoth took a little while to come around. But that's kind of where my head's at. Like anything that ends up with like an explosive runes type of scenario, right? Like not necessarily explosive runes per se. I mean, I guess that would work, but it's whatever. Or like collateral damage.
I just want to play this card when I'm doing a lot of rush minion trading. Like, I want to find a way to play this with Possessifier or something. Right? Possessifier, the new DK card that it's a 5-mana 3/3 that makes 2 1/1 Rush Reborn. If you have Enchanter in play, that's 8 minion damage. Like, that's got to be something.
Yeah.
It's not nothing. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, theoretically, if you're looking at like, I could see maybe a world in which you're a control class that has like, like Condemn, right? Like Condemn sucks. You play it because you have to, but Condemn sucks, right? But if Condemn did 4, Condemn would be better, right? But what it's usually doing too. So maybe that's like a scenario where your quest. I'm gonna go back to priest because that's just what I do. Like your quest priest, you have 5 mana, you play Enchanter Condemn, you do 4 damage across the board. That's an actual board clear as opposed to just like a tickle. So
I mean, there's talented Arcanist right now, and I think the question is, what are the scenarios where Enchanter is better than talented Arcanist? And I think a lot of them, it's not really. I'm curious if there ever will be in the future. I suppose the advantage is, well, the effect stays there and has to be dealt with.
And
But I
your
don't know how
minions
much that's
can
worth.
proc it. Your weapons can proc it.
Right.
It's
it persists for more than 1 damage, right? Like talented Arcanist only works for 1 spell. So like if I if I have and also with the answer to that is if it ends up doing more than 2, adding more than 2 damage, right? Like so if I have a Light It Burns on like a 3/6, now the Light It Burns kills it, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I don't know. I'd have to think about like the ways that damage line up, right? But I mean, Light Bomb and like the Light It Burns is a good card, but sometimes it just doesn't do enough. And certainly like Light Bomb is a card that occasionally is very good, but often is not. But if you get to do double their attack to them, that's a lot more likely to clear. I don't know. There's maybe something there, but it's kind of you need to have things that do small amounts of damage that can get big.
So, okay. Donkey has an idea in chat I'd like to build off it. Shadowcloth Needle. And then, what's that 1-mana shadow spell that silences a minion and shoots pings based on its power?
Whispers of the Deep. Whispers from the Deep, yeah.
You see where I'm going with this?
So that's doing 2 damage, like a bunch of 2 damage pings across the board.
And the Shadowcloth Needle ping for 2.
Yeah. I mean, also like just like Devouring Swarm, right? Like that's all of a sudden. I mean, it's 7 mana, but that's like 8 damage lifesteal across the board. It's not terrible
Plus
either.
the Shadowcloth Needle ping.
Yeah, if you're doing that. I mean, that's ambitious now if you got a 3 cards in there, but yeah, maybe.
I mean, you just play the Needle on 1 and a bunch of Shadow spells, so like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, anything that life steals also, like if you get double, just the double life steal, like that can be a reasonable heal. Like, Void Shard or Drain Soul. If you're getting six health off a Drain Soul, it's not bad for 5 mana.
Maybe I should just try it in my aggro Shadow Priest, which is less undead than hats, and just see how relevant like the trading up is. I do run Shadowcloth Needle because there's still Implux. It's really nice to have.
Yeah.
And Shadowcloth Needle plus the Devour is 2 mana Consecrate, which is nice.
Yeah. Or I mean, just the hero power just does 4 to a minion. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's something that like in Ping Mage. Maybe, like especially when you're trying to like, I mean, if you're trying to really clear a board with like a reckless apprentice or whatever, maybe that's something that's there.
7 mana. I don't know.
You got time in the Renathal version.
So for me, the card I don't understand, Rotten Rodent. This is a rogue 2 mana 2/1 undead beast. Battlecry, reduce the cost of all Death Rattle cards in your deck by 1. Why? For what?
Because you want your Death Rattles to be cheaper. Obviously.
Which Death Rattle? There's one Death Rattle in the set. And there's one rogue Death Rattle. It's the weird 4/4 that gets a 4/4 copy of a Death Rattle minion in your hand that costs 4 less. Which I also don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that. I understand Jombray built a deck where you sketchy illusionist or sketchy information.
Sketchy information. Yeah.
Scourge Illusionist to get a 4 mana Ozomat. But for people that aren't Jombray, which is a large percentage of people, most people are not Jombray. For people that aren't him, what are we doing? What is this for? The Smokescreen deck doesn't pay for the Death Rattles. I don't need a discount on something I'm stealing.
I mean, you do pay for them eventually. I mean, you're not paying for the extra activation. You are paying for like when you play them. Like you play them into a shatter whatever.
Stoneborn Generals. I'm not paying for Stoneborn Generals.
No, but you're playing like Bloodblade Alpha or
Burning
Blade
Blood.
Acolytes.
Yeah.
You play Naval Mines, right? Like you play Loan Sharks. You sure as hell play Loan Sharks.
But you know what else? What? No, you don't.
Those are different decks.
Yeah, those are completely different decks. But what you do play is Masked Reveler, which really wants you to have more Death Rattles than non-Death Rattles in the deck, because you already have to run Trickster and Shatter Shambler, and you really don't want to hit those. You don't even really want to hit Forsaken Lieutenant off of Masked Reveler. I can make much more arguments for the 4/4 than for the Rotten Rodent. Like Rodent seems like for a different kind of Death Rattle.
Yeah.
The 4/4 goes and gets a Death Rattle. You're rewarded for a deck building challenge of find one Death Rattle I want to go get, and it can't hit itself. So go get one thing. Fine, I get it. But Rotten Rodent needs you to have a deck full of Death Rattles that you plan on drawing over time because it doesn't hit your hand. So you got to start top decking Burning Blade Acolytes, like turn 2 Rotten Rodent, turn 3 coin out that 1/1. You get him. You get him. Coin it out. You're building your own Twilight Summoner. Any remember that card?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I played against that in duels this week. Actually, I don't remember what the hell it was.
What?
Yeah, I think it got summoned or something. It might have just gotten generated or something. I don't know that necessarily came for attack. But yeah, I forgot. I thought it was bigger than it was. I forgot it was only a 5/5. I was expecting it to be like a 7/7 or something.
It feels like for a different kind of Death Rattle deck, right? Something more like with eggs and that kind of stuff. But I think there isn't a density of those. And also, Rogue isn't a buff class. So, like, usually the success of an egg deck is because you have things that you can play on your eggs so that they can attack rather than having 0. And Rogue can't really do that, even if it's discounting them. And there aren't really great other cheap value death rattles right now. So maybe this will see something down the line, but it's very much not doing it right now.
I'm going to tell you what the use case is. This is what happens. So you turn 2, you play the Rotten Rodent. Turn 3, you top deck Halkias, and you slam that on the board. And you say, here's a 5/4 stealth. What's up? And then and then you wake up.
I don't know what your dreams are like, but I dream a little bigger.
I have sleep apnea. My dreams are very short.
Get a CPAP.
I have a CPAP.
Oh. Well, that
Yeah.
sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know. Like, so, yeah. Is this like the weirdest Vandar ever where you have to set this up so your sketchy has valid targets? You just throw in those 5-mana death rattles?
We've already referenced Frizz Kindle Roost once in this podcast. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
It's been a long
and again,
day.
and we which is not a sentence I expected to be saying tonight, by the way.
Maybe the third weirdest 4-drop we've referenced today. After Barons, Kazakus, and Twilight Summoner, which came up not once but twice now. And you played against it today. Oh,
Yeah.
what a magical time of year. And
What a time to be alive.
And Steve, you don't understand Lorthamar Theron, but
Yeah.
big.
But big, but eventually, like, I mean, it's the same type of thing, right? Like, I mean, again, yeah, maybe Renathal makes this a little bit better, but like big, but on 7, right? And then the cards that you want to make big need to be in your deck already, and then you need to draw them. And like, what are we doing, right?
Order
Like,
in the
I
court
mean, it
for a
seems-
2020 jailer. You play this Lorthamar order on 9, 2020 on 10.
So you're playing this before you've played Order in the Court.
Before
Okay,
Thamar.
so you're drawing this, you're getting it on curve in a 40 card deck, and you're playing that before you've played Order in the Court.
I didn't say 40
Yeah,
card deck,
okay.
go 30.
30% of the time it works every
No,
time.
but make the top. So you can order in the court after. No, you can't order in the court after. You do have to
you
play.
can't
this
order
before.
in the court before it. You can't because you've
So you
already
play
drawn the jailer.
thinly.
That's what I'm. But then, but you want to make sure that like then you're hoping that you pick it up. Like that's what I'm saying, right? Is that it's like you've got a legendary, so you've only got one chance at drawing it before you draw whatever. Like there's 50% of the time it's gonna be the bottom half of your deck. You can't play Order in the Court before this because then you've drawn everything you care about buffing.
That's not true. There's plenty of value things lower. I mean, I think it's a different style of deck, right? You don't have to go that big. I think it's fine just, doubling your 3-4 lifesteal rush taunts to
Elitist
to
Snob.
6/8.
The snobs. Yeah, I mean they get bigger, but I mean you have plenty of ways in Paladin to make them just as big without that much variance. Like you've got Bannerman, you've got the hero power. Like you don't have a problem making things obnoxiously big in Paladin.
I mean, sometimes I think Paladin comes to mind because of Order in the Court, right? And I
Right.
think if you're going to do that, you have to build it so that you're hitting Theron. You're hitting like Cariol Theron. I was looking at a Warrior where you just, do the old run Talon and it's your highest mini in the deck. It does mean that you're not doing things like Remornia, which would be super sweet.
Yeah. Or
but
Grom, which you would probably want to hit
Although-
with that.
Grom is like cool, but not super exciting because you're still just doubling the attack from 4 to 8. It's not like you get to double the enrage.
It has charge, Edel. It goes
You know
phase.
what?
That's why.
I'm interested in a what would it be? It goes from 4/8 to 8/16 to 16/32 untargetable rush taunt.
Okay, I appreciate what you're saying, but this is also you're also coming from the perspective of someone who has not tried to make Lady in White work. And as a former Lady in White enthusiast,
But we
I can
didn't
tell
have
you-
Talon then.
go play Lady in White and Wild and tell me how well that works. You know, like I've seen this movie and I know how it ends, and it's not a comedy. It's definitely a tragedy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a world where people are playing like slower control decks and you just throw Theron in there for beef, right? It doesn't have to be the like total center of the deck build around like the scenarios we've described. I think there's just situations where you just throw it down and suddenly like your Stitch Giants or 16/16s or something like that. It just gives so many stats.
You're gonna put this in a deck with Snapdragons, aren't you?
No, I haven't already built that.
I'm glad we understand each other.
Last expansion. Edel, you didn't understand Dinner Performer. I think that's reasonable. I still feel like something should have happened there, but I have no idea how to do that. Steve, you didn't understand Tome Tampering. Think the jury is also
still don't.
Yeah.
I still don't, even with the discard cards that came in the new set. I still don't.
Yep.
I was trying to theory craft something with it, and I thought I got there, and then I was clearly like not in my right mind, and then I'm working on this article for the blog, and I started writing it up, and then I started looking at the deck and looking at what I was writing, and realized as I was in the middle of the paragraph that what I was writing made no sense, and then I immediately deleted the deck. I thought I'd crack the case. I very much had not. The only time I've seen it work is in duels with Malcazar Sim. There, it's pretty good. But
And I didn't understand Conqueror's Banner. Still don't. However, the other card I didn't get was Sinful Brand. I died to this today.
oh, really?
Oh, with the deal 4 and get 4 Russians?
They were playing Spell Quest Relic Demon
Oh,
Hunter.
hell yeah. Let's go.
And I made the mistake of playing a Stitch Giant. Band. Edelweiss nearly choked on her root beer. But yes. Brand. And I did not make it.
That's 32 damage.
Yeah.
I died. I didn't win. I died. Yeah. And I forget why I didn't immediately die. I either had armor or was at 40, but they had some Furies or whatever from hand that also didn't cost anything because they just got to play. Oh yeah, they had procced a quest on a Feast of Souls, so they got to just keep on going, drawing more cards.
Huh.
I think they burned the quest reward, but it didn't end up mattering. It got me.
I mean, it's fair enough for you to just say that, like, they played Sinful Brand, and by the time you were done rereading the card to remember what it did, that you were dead and you didn't catch anything that happened. So,
yeah, it's no, I've been aware of Sinful Brand for a while because I've really wanted it to work so many times, and I don't know if it's going to, but I do know that I died to it today, in a very, very visible way. So at least I get some understanding now of what it's about. We made it. My 11-hour content.
what do we
day
do
has
until
concluded.
Tuesday?
Edit podcasts.
Oh,
You have to. I don't know. I don't know. My wife encouraged me to pick up Returnal again because she wanted to watch me die a bunch. She's done
yeah.
that.
So you
Hard
do
game.
that a lot in that game. Yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah, I've been getting my reps in.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Oh, we should. Yeah, speaking of Tuesday, we should probably remind people that we're going to be doing the stream relay again, right?
Do that now.
As usual.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I have gotten time off, so
Okay. So as usual, Ed will kick us off with when the set comes out, and then I think I'm starting at 7 this time because I think I have to drop my daughter up at Hebrew school first. So I'll be taking over at 7, and then 10ish. We'll pass it over to Hat for his. Well, I guess it's not triennial anymore because you get the Theory Crafting streams into.
Sexennial.
Sexennial. That's a better word.
Is it? For whom?
I don't know.
It's better than a
For
rogue
somebody,
deck,
I'm
I
sure.
guess, at this point.
I mean, it's better. It's better than the way that we're abbreviating concoction, apparently. So
So by the
Um,
way,
Phoenix.
40 card concoction rogue. That's Magnum rogue.
No.
It's extra large.
Is that? I mean, isn't that a suicide? Like like when you were like 12 and you would go to like the soda fountain and just put a little bit of every one of the sodas into the big gulp cup.
I'm editing this out.
Fair enough.
You're editing out the extra large.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say. I don't
The
have to say.
family show hat.
It's. I'll just go on Blizzlet. I'll just do that.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole
Friends,
worth exploring.
He was referring to the ice cream brand. It's okay.
Oh, I thought he was referring to Magnum PI.
It's all right. We have referenced some strange things today, but Tom Selleck is where I draw the line. So we have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coinconceit.com. You can also find our contact info, show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show, patreon.com/coinconceit. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconceit.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconceit.com. Write into our email at coinconceit@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconceit. Like, share, and follow us at Facebook at facebook.com/coinconceit. If you'd like some CC swag, heading over to our shop at shop.coinconceit.com. Big thanks to our producers, Number Theory, Doshi K, Crash Cap, B Squatch, David P, Fade the Black, Waldo, Jeremy T, Bottle Caps, Lucky, Grumpy Monk, and Kreb Mart. A lot of new producers. Love that. Madras Lover, thank you so much for the sub during the show. I hope I didn't miss anybody else. I have a million billion coin seats, so I'm going to go first because I feel like it. A lot of cool people that were really chill about rescheduling coaching, so Lulu and Rawrang, thank you for that. Joss, thanks for co-streaming with me today. Risen. So, Risen is a great dude. He's on Team Swiggle, and he messaged me the other day. And he mentioned that he's been listening to our shows. And as we've been describing DK corpse mechanics, he feels like we are calling him out by name. Because of all the ghouls that do not provide a corpse when they die. The Risen ghouls. So Risen, this is me acknowledging you directly. And I'd like you to know that every other time that I mentioned it, I thought of you, buddy.
I know exactly how he feels because every time that somebody says Wicked Stab, my ears perk up and then I'm very confused for about 5 seconds. And then I'm annoyed that it's a rogue card that's getting my ears to perk up.
Copa, I meant to coin concede him a couple weeks ago, posted a really long tweet longer about just some stuff that he deals with on a daily basis. And, just feel for him. Good dude. Fellow Glug enthusiast. And then Magisa and Grumpy Monk both had really, really nice runs over the past month. They've been really positive additions to the Discord and regular contributors over time. But they've both been, doing a lot of Naga pre-strategy, and both of them had some career highs in their finishes. Magisa had her first top 1K, I think first 11x. Grumpy Monk was in top 100 this month, first top 500 finish. Magisa also our Coin Conceit Listener Series winner this time around, so congratulations. Just a really, really impressive amount of growth, and personal growth and personal accomplishment, so big fans. Edel, Coin Concedes.
So my first coin concede is to Tom Locke. I'm captain of the Hearthstone team. He's captain of Swagoi. And he's just always got my back. He's the one who recruited me, and whenever I need help, need to chat, he's been there, even when he's, flying flying across the ocean. So, really appreciate him. I'm sad I didn't get to see him for DreamHack because I was away at a wedding. Otherwise, would have been in DreamHack Atlanta. And then coin concede to UHAT for playing or bringing so many of the decks that I made, so I could kind of be there for theory crafting in spirit, if not in actuality.
And then Steve.
So I'm in a coin concede to Mapash, who we had a coaching session earlier this month. They were kind of frustrated and kind of stuck, and we spent a bunch of time going through like just HS replay things, and then they're like, well, what do you want to play? Imp Warlock. Okay, I can coach an aggro deck, sure. Okay. But we I mean, I can actually play aggro, believe it or not. I know I keep saying this, but I'll keep saying it. But they got Legend this month, using what they learned in coaching and, sticking with it. And it's a really, really proud of them for sticking it out and being able to get over the line. And I'm also going to coin concede to Absolute Ponzi, who I came home from work yesterday and found this tweet. It was part of a thread. And the long and the short of it is that they just got Legend from for the first time. And what helped them get through the push to Legend was a episode of Off Curve that Hat and Andrew Brown and I recorded in June of 2018.
It rotated back into standard in celebration of KFT.
Yeah.
Because it was a month before KFT came out, I think.
No, because I started the podcast right a month before KFT came out. That was the original one. That was the first one that was on Happy Hearthstone. That was a month before KFT came in. This was a year later.
Next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is episode 52, Drowning My Sorrows in Murlocs, where we were talking about, this is the first anniversary episode of Off Curve, where the three of us got back together and talked about Legend, for getting to Legend and the Legend mindset for about an hour and a half. And, I've been on this show for almost a year now, and I was just blown away that I mean, I knew it was a good episode when we recorded it, but that it's still relevant, almost 4.5 years later, and was something that was able to get somebody to Legend in 2022 it was really cool. It made my day. So coin concede to you, Absolute Ponzi, and I hope this is the first of many.
We did it. We got there.
We did it.
So, keep calm and take a nap. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Outro music.
Has it really
Hey.
been almost a year?
It was February.
Jeez. When did that happen? Oh yeah, Shadow of Demise.
Well,
by the way,
February it happened.
I don't have a category for Shadow of Demise, but the category would be, what card do you know is going to be in every legal deck for it until it rotates out?
I almost picked that as what are you scared of, and I probably should have, but I figured one of you was going.
But it's I don't think it's
not even scared of it, because you don't have to be scared of it, because you know what it's going to do. No, I know what it's going to do. It's going to make a third shadow step, and I'm going to be annoyed. That's what
I did do that today, where I haven't built a rogue deck that's had room for Wicked Stab in months. There are too many good rogue cards.
Concoctions are usually pretty good. Yeah.
But I did do turn 1 quest, turn 2 Skulker, and then I played Shadow stepped, played it again. It's fine. It's am I supposed to be scared of that? Is it OP? No. But was it better than not having it in my deck? Yes. It's just gonna be in every rogue deck until it rotates out of standard. It is the safest craft in the set. You just put it in every rogue deck forever.
Yeah, it sounds right.
I mean, it's whatever you want it to be. It can't be bad. It
can be if you build bad cards in your deck.
I mean, if you put bad spells in your deck, but don't put bad spells in your deck. Just put Shadow Step in your deck, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Feel like anything with concoctions, you just automatically run double preps as well. You don't need to have other spells. You just get enough concoctions that prep is going to be useful.
Yeah, you don't have to think about that one too hard. That's pretty easy.
Well, I was trying to figure out where to make a cut in my SI7 remix, but I honestly think it might be an extortion. Like for another
I
prep.
think it's the 3-mana 2/4. The one that triggers at end of turn.
Oh,
It's
but you can give that stealth for more concoctions. I don't
But
know.
it kind of sucks.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you don't
mean,
get
I
to
don't
use
know,
the
yeah.
concoction the turn you play it. So I kind of have no interest.
yeah, and it's worth it to be able to get another one of the stealth gizmos or another one of the bounce gizmos or whatever, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to mess around with it. I wonder if you kind of need them just for a little extra density on concoctions. Maybe it's
They're
not
okay,
necessary.
but I think it's a good one of. And also, by the way, run Scab's Cutter Butter, the 4-mana one, because he plays 2 concoctions. You kind of want to do that.
Oh no.
You kind of want that, right?
Yep. Yep.
I just want to heal face.
No.
I just want to play a purified shard and be happy.
I don't think you're gonna get to play anymore.
No, I don't think that's happening. I think that's
too
time is past.
fast. Those days are.
Yeah.
It's the we didn't even cover how Denathrius just I don't think they're going to need to nerf him because this format is going to be faster. We barely talked about DK. That's something that kept coming up today too. DK is just a part of the game now. But it doesn't even feel like something that demands increased attention right away. Frost felt good, but it didn't feel broken. It's just a good deck that you just play it and people die. But it's lethality increased, but DK just felt like a part of the game instantly. I don't know.
Yeah.
This ain't DH. It really isn't.
Yep.
Well, they don't have to force. I mean, they're also not forcing it into a 4-set meta, which helps, right?
Yeah. All right, stream. I'm tired of looking at a
We-
key late today.
Do we want to send a raid over to Sidisi since he's still streaming for another hour?
Sure. To DCTV?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
Everyone go say hi to Sid.
He's doing the Lord's work and playing wild tonight. So.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.